Jay Crawford, Adam the Bull, Garrett Bush, and so many big names, it would take me hours to say all of their names. The ultimate Cleveland sports show. Booyah!
It's a Thursday morning. Lot to get to today. Jason is back today after being at Browns camp yesterday. You're at the Guardians game yesterday. You're a man of the people.
Busy day. Busy day.
That's it. He was socializing with fans. No, he doesn't.
The man in black. He's the man in black.
Yeah.
I like it, man. He's ready to go today,
G.
bro.
Bush, as always, in the middle seat.
Yes, of course, man.
How you doing? I'm
doing pretty good, man. I can't complain. Can't complain.
Well, there's plenty on the docket today. The NBA Finals continued last night. Did the Nuggets leave in Jamal Murray at the end just to get a triple-double? And does anybody have a problem with that? We'll get to that a little later. We got plenty of baseball to get into. Mandy Bell is going to join us. Obviously, she, in addition to covering the Guardians, has been very involved in, raising money for ALS with Sarah Langs, who's an MLB researcher. She's very good. She comes up with all these stats that nobody else knows, and sadly was diagnosed with ALS at the age of 28, I believe, and they're like best friends. In fact, I just ordered one of those T-shirts that everybody's wearing now that says baseball is the best.
Yep.
Anyway, so we'll get to that. We'll get to that a little bit later. So a lot to get to. Mikey McNuggets, though, we got to start with some football today in a minute.
Yeah, we got some football stuff. We also have Sir Yacht coming in a little bit to go over his Since '99 series, which if you guys haven't seen, Sir Yacht is on a mission to interview every Browns quarterback whose name is on the back of that infamous
It's impressive
jersey.
that he's gotten all the guys he has so far, and he's traveled, I mean, he's not an established media member, but he's done enough, and he's getting these interviews, and he's done a nice job with that. So,
and he travels
good for
to them.
him.
Like he's gone.
Yeah.
He was Trent Dilfer was the most recent one.
Content.
He's the new head coach at UAB.
Yeah.
He went down to Birmingham, Alabama, and sat down in the film room with I think they're the Blazers, in the Blazers football film room to speak with Trent Dilfer. So he's done a really good job with those, and I can't wait to talk to him about some of the little tidbits he's learned about some of these guys who we talk about in relativity when it comes to the Browns quarterback, and he's got a deeper dive with them.
By the way, I've been doing these videos for Bet Rivers where it's like previews of the big events of the day. And most of the time it's been about, the sports I know. But today I actually recorded a couple, one that'll be out today, one that'll be out tomorrow, one was about soccer and one was about tennis, where I obviously don't know as much, especially soccer. I don't know anything.
Was it the Messi stuff?
No, it wasn't about the Messi because it's always involving a bet, whatever. I didn't realize that Manchester City, which is an English soccer club, they have a chance to win. Like they won their league and then they won this other thing and become only the second team ever to do it. But the reason I bring it up is because I asked the guy named Nigel Seeley, who's like a betting expert. He does a lot of soccer and tennis and stuff over, and he's from England. And I asked him two things that I was curious about. That I thought maybe you guys would find interesting. Number one, I asked him, how popular is the NFL becoming in England? And he says, it's popular, but it's not really growing. Like, when the games are in England, that's not really growing the game that much, in his opinion, because he says that the majority of the people that go to those games are Americans that just went to England.
Travel over.
Mm-hmm.
He said like 2/3 to 3/4 of the people that go are Americans.
So,
and the second thing I asked him was, is Ted Lasso popular in England? I was curious, and he goes, no, because he says I think about 1% of people have Apple TV in England, so nobody really watches.
Oh,
it.
wow.
Yeah. Anyway,
Speaking of growing the game,
I
think I've mentioned this, but my sister lives in Munich, Germany. She's
Right.
been over there for 3 years now, and she keeps telling me, hey, you got to come to Germany to become the Adam Schefter of the NFL for German people, for the folks in Germany.
Yeah.
She says it's blowing up over there. Like, there's now watch parties for random games.
Really?
At a
All
bar in Sunday. Now, they're 9 hours ahead of East Coast or 8 hours ahead of East Coast.
Yeah.
So for the 1 o'clock games, it's 9 p.m. kickoff there.
Yeah.
And she says the bars are packed in Munich now for football. So
Really?
I don't know if England and Germany, obviously different countries,
he did
different
say
cultures, but it is growing in Europe.
He did say there's a lot of betting on the 1 o'clock games because the 1 o'clock Eastern games start right after their regularly scheduled soccer matches end.
Yeah, because they're 4 o'clock.
Because of the time
soccer,
difference.
Yep.
So he says there's a lot of actually betting. But he was telling me, first of all, gambling's been legal in England since 1971.
Wow.
All right, that's 52 years ago because I was born in 71. What the hell is going on in that parking lot?
Getting busy.
They're cleaning the pipes.
Oh, my God.
Get that
Pause.
work. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, there's a guy named Herbie who's like the fix-it guy here. Does all these odd jobs around WKYC. I don't know what his main title is, but that's just what – is that what – I mean,
He's
what's
the
his –
building supervisor.
Building supervisor.
He helped build this building.
He's out in the parking lot maybe, 10 yards from the front door of our studio, and he's got a – what's the thing called? I can't think of what that's called.
A
Is
saw?
it the Zamboni thing?
No, he got a handsaw.
There's like sparks
It's like
flying
a Dremel.
all over the place.
It's like a Dremel.
Oh, he's building the new steel frame for the garage door at KYC.
No, he's doing something on the ground, though. And there's like sparks flying all over the place. Anyway,
Speaking of
nobody
sparks,
can see that. Yeah.
Hey, well, I don't even know that was a transition. I got some breaking news.
Dalvin Cook cut by the Vikings.
Yes, he is cut.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about whether the Browns. No, I'm joking.
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus.
You know,
God.
you're doing. They thought I needed big
These
names.
veteran running backs.
Right?
I can't. I can't with you people anymore.
Now Zeke's out there.
Yeah, Zeke out there.
Kareem Hunt.
Jason's like, don't you do it.
Sign all the veteran running backs and make
All
sure
the
Chubb
veterans.
gets 20
I
carries a
do
game.
think Dalvin Cook will be more popular than Zeke and Hunt.
Yes,
Not for
I
the
do.
Browns, but
Yeah.
he's still good. They just have a nice backup back at Alexander Madison who they're ready to turn the page to,
don't
and
know
they
what
need to cut payroll.
Their money is different.
He's going to go. If I'm Miami, they don't really have a lead back. I'd go after Dalvin Cook if I'm Miami. But
So
anyway, go ahead.
you know, some people have, and we should have probably rolled this out a little bit better, but
Yeah.
a lot of people have hit me up and DM me and said, "Hey, G. Bush, man, what's going on? With we've noticed you haven't been on Locked On Browns, and I was gonna come out and say something about it, but think we get doing stuff, and Jeff is still doing his thing over there. So I wanted to let the fans know we did a great job of building it up over there. We're over 6,000 people, I think, subscribers on YouTube. I am no longer with Locked On Browns. I do still support the podcast. I watch it every single day. So shout out to Jeff. I think Pete Smith from Sports Illustrated is doing it as well. So I always watch, but I definitely saw a lot of people reaching out, hey, where's G. Bush? Where's G. Bush? So there's no bad blood or anything. It just didn't work out schedule-wise. And they're still going to do a great job of watching that and covering the Browns every day. So I do have some exciting news, though. I will be having some things rolling out for football season with some other independent content. So I'm really excited about that. If you like the post games, we'll be doing something a little more like that on my channel as well. And I am doing some other things. So today I will be doing, this is probably my third time doing it, I'll be doing a National Browns live on Bleacher Report. So you guys can check that out. It's we'll be talking about the depth chart, what happened in OTAs, and kind of previewing the season. So this is the third time I've worked over there, worked on them. So you guys can check that out, that live stream on Bleacher Report. But I do got some cool content coming. So I do want to thank Ross and Dave for the opportunity because, when I came into it, they were the first person to give me an opportunity to do a podcast every single day. I cut my teeth. I learned a tremendous amount about the business. And I thank them for giving me that opportunity. So just wanted to say thank you to them and continue to support the Locked On Browns podcast.
And my next episode of Up Next with Adam the Bull, my TV podcast, G. Bush is my guest.
Check that out, too.
My co-host, that's coming out today. It'll be out at some point today. All right, let's get right to it. So yesterday, Mary Kay Cabot, Cleveland.com, said Deandre Hopkins to the Browns is a long shot. The Browns were the favorites in Vegas. I don't know that that's worth much in a situation like this, but I think we all thought there was a reasonable chance DeAndre Hopkins would be here.
I have the exact quote, too, if you'd like to read that.
Yes, please.
Steve, let's take 181 full here. This is from Mary Kay's article. Quote, but the Browns are happy with their current receiving core and aren't looking to add a big-name, high-priced player such as Hopkins at this time. It's currently unlikely to happen, but he's also in the never say never category.
Now, that's a quote from Mary Kay. It's not necessarily a quote from someone else. Obviously she has her ins with the team. She has connections with the team as much as anybody that covers the team. Clearly this information is coming from the team, And if you read the article, the team just isn't interested for whatever reason. That's the way it seems, Jason. We thought maybe that DeAndre Hopkins wouldn't be interested in the Browns. I don't know if he is or isn't, but the way this article reads from Mary Kay is that the team is not really interested in him. I obviously disagree with that. I think they should be, but it is what it is. The fact that he's visiting the Titans to me means he doesn't necessarily care about winning, but I don't know. What's your take on this?
Well, I think there's a lot of tentacles to this and a lot to unpack.
Yeah.
Number one, I've maintained all along I didn't think he was coming here, so I'm not really surprised by this. If DeAndre Hopkins really truly wants to come to Cleveland and Deshaun Watson really truly wants him, he's gonna come here. But I just don't think that that's aligning. I don't care what guys say publicly. I don't care. What are they supposed to say?
Yeah.
What's Deshaun supposed to say when he's asked, "Do you want DeAndre
right,
here?"
Of course. Yeah.
No, screw him. We don't. He's not going to say that.
Yeah.
So I just don't pay attention to what they say when cameras are rolling and record. But behind closed doors, the conversations that Deshaun has with Browns personnel, the conversations that DeAndre is having with his agent, if they really want to align, it will align. Anything short of that, he's not coming here. And for the Browns' perspective, we weren't even having this discussion until obviously he was released by the Cardinals, and then all of a sudden everyone became obsessed with DeAndre Hopkins coming here. But it's sort of like last year when the suspension went to 11 games, and I kept advocating for Jimmy Garoppolo because you're not going to win anything with Jacoby Brissett, and Brissett played better than we thought, but he still wasn't top tier quarterback. But the Browns had an eye on the cap and what they could roll over into this year, and I think it's sort of the same thing. They're going to be as of now, they're going to be in absolute cap hell next year. They're like $30 million over the cap. So every dollar they can roll from this year into next year will help. So it feels a little bit like that again. And the Browns, I'm sure they do feel comfortable because, again, before DeAndre became available, everyone here was raving about all the moves that the Browns made in the offseason. Everything looks great and everything's wonderful, and they upgraded the receiving core. All of that is still true. So I do think that they're comfortable with what they have in the room. I do think that they are content with where things stand. So I'm not surprised by really any of this. But again, if DeAndre really wants to come here and Deshaun truly does want him, which we're not going to know because it's all about the private conversations, not what they say publicly, I still think something will get done. I just don't think that that's the case.
Gee.
For me, what this screams of is he wants one more payday. It always seems to change your mind about where you are in life based upon your friends, right? Like, sometimes we've all had friends who've gotten their first real job first, and you're kind of doing odds and end jobs, and you still maybe not be working full-time, part-time, doing a couple things here. And then the first thing you notice is like, well, damn, you got a new house, huh? That's a nice apartment. Well, wow, the car got upgraded. Okay. And you could be feeling good about your situation over here. You feeling like, okay, well, I'm not working full-time, but, I got some expendable income. But what happens is you look around the league, and DeAndre Hopkins has to be looking around and looking at Odell Beckham Jr. and being like, this dude ain't played in years. He was the guy that we was thinking it was going to take, $4 or $5 million or whatever the case may be. When they talk about 15 guaranteed and 18 up to 18, it makes you think a little bit different. And DeAndre Hopkins in his mind is like, well, look, I don't know what his spending habits is, and I'm not going to put that out there like he's reckless with money or anything. But I know how it can be when you say, hey, I want one more bite at the apple. Like right now, I'm in my early 30s. I know that this is going to be the biggest check probably I'm going to get the rest of my career, no matter what I do with the production on the field. So for some people, that check at the end of the day to take care of your family or to make yourself comfortable as you get older it takes priority over the winning situation.
He's made over $100 million, though.
Hey, man.
If his family's not comfortable now, they're never going to be.
Well, here's the thing. Some people, we automatically think, Jason, people prioritize that ring over that bag, and they don't be like that.
A lot of guys, it's never enough.
No, I hear you, but let me just say this. First of all, you say, well, what they say publicly doesn't matter. Of course that's true. I agree.
115 million.
Also, comments like Mary Kay's comment about, well, the Browns like their wide receivers, they're happy. Well, that's also what else are they going to say?
Right.
Are they going to come out and say, well, we're not really happy with our wide receiving core, but we can't afford DeAndre Hopkins? They're not. The teams don't tell the truth either. Now, they didn't come out and publicly said that. But
everyone has been raving about how great the Browns receiving core looks now with the additions that they've made this offseason.
But listen, The Browns wide receiving core is definitely better than it was last year on paper.
Mm-hmm.
We got to remember it's on paper.
Mm-hmm.
No fan base, I think, does a better job of overhyping their talent than the Browns.
Oh, they all do. They all do. But the Browns are exquisite.
We're near the top.
Yes.
We're near the top because we're so desperate for it. We're so desperate for it. The bottom line to me is this idea that we got to roll over the cap and they're way over the cap. I feel like they've been talking about the Saints have been over the cap for a decade, and every year you find a way. You find a way. I know at some point it catches up with you. You look at the Vikings here. Okay, now they've had to cut Dalvin Cook. You got to make sure that when you get to that point where you got to start cutting guys because of the cap, because it will happen eventually, that you have good enough players to back them up and it's not a big deal. Good organizations do that.
Nobody in the league has a quarterback with a $50 million cap hit except the Browns. Nobody.
Fine. But there's a few teams that are close, and now there's some others that are coming, right?
Yeah.
Philadelphia's going to be there. Cincinnati's going to be there
Not
soon.
at 50. I don't think it'll be 50. And they restructured it this year.
Yeah.
But now they're going to have to do it again next year.
So then you keep doing it?
But I'm just saying, every dollar that you can roll over helps.
Right.
And it comes down to.
But what are you rolling it over for? What are you rolling it over for? Because in this AFC, there are at least 3 teams that are way more proven than the Browns are. At least 3, right? That have accomplished more, that are better, that the Browns, that even if they're not, maybe the Browns get up to that level, but they got to prove it. And those teams are loaded. And everything, we're excited because the Browns wide receiving core is better. I think it's better. I like Elijah Moore. But let's face it, that's all they did was Elijah Moore. Now, they drafted a kid to throw out. They drafted David Bell last year. He was useless.
Right.
I don't know that this kid can play.
Right.
Well, nobody knows if he can play. So Elijah Moore is better than whoever they were using as their third receiver last year. How much better is he? I'm not sure.
And I agree with you.
Yeah.
I think on 98% of what you're saying, because if Hopkins wants to come here and Deshaun wants him, it's going to happen.
Yeah.
Okay, fine.
Yeah.
It is an upgrade, but I just don't think that all those pieces are aligned. So I don't think this is a realistic conversation.
So you saying it's more on DeAndre Hopkins than it is
it's
with the
all
Browns.
on Hopkins. This is DeAndre's going to go where DeAndre wants to go. He is driving
true.
this whole thing, and I just don't think it's a realistic. And I'm not going to sit here and kill the Browns for it. Because I just don't think I never thought it was very realistic. I've said that from the start.
But you brought up the cap, so that makes it seem like, the money's a factor here.
Well, no, I brought up the cap as why they would keep one eye on things and why maybe they aren't willing to spend $18 million or whatever top dollar on DeAndre. But again, if DeAndre really wants to come to Cleveland, maybe he doesn't take the 18.
They make it work. Yeah.
That's kind of the point I'm
They're
trying
not
to
going
make.
to say, you're right. Ultimately, if DeAndre Hopkins wants to be here and Deshaun Watson wants him here, he's going to be here.
It's going to work.
I do think G is right. I think the absurd Odell Beckham contract, and it's absurd.
It's absurd.
Has probably affected the DeAndre Hopkins
Absolutely.
market. Yeah. Because DeAndre Hopkins is better than Odell.
And you know he's telling his agent, listen, if he's sitting there, and for a guy like DeAndre Hopkins who gets cut, right, he's expecting that phone to be ringing today. Hey, let's get DeAndre in. Can we get a visit? How much you worth? That phone ain't been ringing like that. And when it does not ring, players then they go to their agent and say, why is the phone ringing? We need to drum up something. You ain't got no teams that's interested, so you go to a team and it's like the Titans.
And the fact that he's visiting the Titans tells you with 100% certainty that it's, if not all, 99% about the money.
I thought it was interesting what Vrabel said of I'm done recruiting guys. I don't recruit anymore. I recruited in college. We want guys who want to be here. It was almost like
that's dope.
It was almost like you're not going to use us to drive up the price elsewhere.
Right. Yes.
If you want to come here, you're welcome to come here, but you're not going to use us. I thought that was really interesting.
And think about it like this. It seems like I'm going to Tennessee to drive the price up because Tennessee has one of the worst quarterback situations in the AFC of teams that are decent. You got Tannehill, you don't know if you're going to play with him. I just don't know that
they're decent anymore. I think they're going down the shitter.
Will Levis, Willis.
Vrabel's 10-7, 9-8, no matter what the talent.
What was their record last year? Didn't they finish under 500?
They were 8-9. They tied with the Jaguars, but the
I
Jaguars
just don't they got Derrick Henry and what?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If he goes to Tennessee, I think we could all agree that he's out here just trying to get as much money as he possibly can. And there's nothing wrong with that.
Right.
There's nothing wrong.
And that's his right. Sure.
Go make every dollar.
I just would think that, again, I'm not in that situation. If I were a supreme athlete that was great enough to make $150 million as a wide receiver, maybe I'd feel differently. But me being a fat, out-of-shape guy who was never good enough in football, I think to myself, I've made $150 million. I think I'd rather win than make every last dollar. That's what I would do. I think I would do, but I don't know.
There's a happy medium out there. There's a nice number that says, hey, I'm getting a lot of money, plus I got a chance to win. I think he's trying to get to that point. Get to that.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. I mean, to me, if he's going to Tennessee, he's not interested in winning at all.
And I always say this: money is such a crazy thing. One point in time, we didn't think we was getting Deshaun Watson. At one point in time, Deshaun Watson told the Browns, he physically called them, nah, dog, this is not going to happen. And guess what? 24 hours later, he got signed. Funny how money worked. Now, the Tennessee Titans come out and give him $5 million offer, and the Browns have more money to give. It might happen. And I love what Jason said, the one thing. If Deshaun Watson, always read between the lines, if he really, really, really was like all hands on deck, I need to get this dude right now, they get him. Because guess what? Jason said it. He's the only person that's on the books for $50 million. And if somebody for $50 million want a rental, they'll find the money to get the rental. But what he gonna say?
If Deshaun tells Jimmy Haslam, go get me DeAndre Hopkins,
he's there.
It'll get done.
It'll get done.
That's right. I just think, while I like what the Browns have done at wide receiver, and I think they're going to be better, I think we got to realize that they've added nobody that's proven. Like
offensively, at least. Defensively, they have.
No, I'm talking about wide receivers.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I mean, Elijah Moore, he hasn't done much in his first 2 years with the Jets.
But I'm thinking, what if Deshaun Watson says, look, I like D-Hop, that's my man. I can't say he lost a step. I can't just tell him, nah, we ain't going. He's like, yo, like if D-Hop is on the market and they ask him in a conversation, well, who you going to look to? Who you looking to if it's third down? Who was in your pecking order? He like, listen, Amari Cooper going to get most of the targets. I like Elijah Moore. I want him in on third down all the time. He's throwing to these guys. Like, he may be telling them behind the scenes, like, look, I mean, I can't come out and say that that's my guy. I can't come out and say that I don't want him. What am I going to say in the situation? But what we're going to do is we're just going to play the corporate role.
I don't know. I mean, when the guy played last year and he played with nobody, who the hell was his quarterback? Colt McCoy? Most of the games?
Last year?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was Colt McCoy because Kyler Murray got injured.
I mean, Colt McCoy's.
I'll confirm.
I would do it. You know where I stand.
And the guy still put up wide receiver one numbers on a crapola team with a crapola quarterback. So I get it, he's old, but ultimately I can't get mad at the Browns if it's not their fault.
Right.
You know.
Right.
And I think in the end you're right. If Watson and Hopkins want it to happen, the Browns are not going to say no. Sorry, guys.
Right.
So
I think
would
Hopkins
give the Browns
played one game with Murray, by the way.
What's that?
I think he played one game with Kyler.
One game with Kyler Murray. I would say that in the end, if Hopkins signs somewhere else, I'm disappointed, but I'm not going to blame the Browns for it.
Tennessee is where veteran receivers go to die.
I still can't believe they traded A.J. Brown. What did they get in that?
I don't get it.
First-round pick and a future second or something like that.
All right.
But not nearly the haul that you would expect for a guy.
And who'd they use that first-round pick on?
A receiver, wasn't it?
Yeah, Traylon Burks.
Yeah.
Oh,
who's slated right now? If the season were to start today,
he'd be their number one receiver.
He'd be their number one receiver.
I mean, he was
and he'd be the worst
as a
number
rookie.
one in the NFL, though.
But
I didn't see much.
Yeah, they're a real run-heavy team, obviously. All right, Mikey, what do we got next here?
Well, first, before we move on to our next topic, and I'm really going to test the parameters of your guys' creativity here and your imagination.
Okay.
But something you don't have to imagine, something you can actually see in real life while touching grass is some high-quality football that's not the NFL right here in Ohio. Down in Canton this weekend, a bunch of the UCSS squad will be at the USFL game on Saturday at noon as the Pittsburgh Maulers, our guy Boogie Roberts, takes on the Michigan Panthers, which I believe are still head coached by Jeff Fisher, who came on the show last year. $10 tickets, usfl.com for all your ticket needs, stats, videos, highlights, and more. Check them out at usfl.com. So during training camp yesterday, or OTAs, minicamp, whatever you want to say, Deshaun Watson was asked about – I just did all three, I understand.
Yeah.
I just combined all three into one.
Minicamp.
Yeah, minicamp. Deshaun Watson was asked, what do you like about this offense? how do you see yourself progressing? And he said, everything's brand new. So I want you guys to put on your artist hats and give me your best version of Picasso of what the perfect Browns offense in your mind looks like for this upcoming season.
The perfect Browns offense for me is about 62% throwing the ball. I know I got Nick Chubb, but you know what? I'm going to give Nick Chubb his 18 carries. And I'm
No, 20. It's got to be 20. They're not going to win.
No,
they can't win if you don't get 20 carries.
You're right.
It's got to be 20.
That's right. Fair point. But I'm going to, but yes, that absurd stat. I want 18 carries for Nick Chubb, and then I'm going pass happy the rest of the way. Then, if I'm up in the fourth quarter, then I, run out the game with Nick Chubb, which is why they won the games. He carried 20 times because they were winning, and he ran out the clock. But I digress. I want to see an offense where the receivers are catching the ball going towards the end zone and not coming back to the line of scrimmage. Guys are catching the ball on the run so we can get some yak. Yards after the catch have been an elusive thing for the Cleveland Browns. Seems like every time every time you catch a ball with past quarterbacks, guys are falling down. They have to jump up to catch it. They're running back to the line of scrimmage. I want to see these guys on the move where they catch the ball. A guy like Elijah Moore, who's got really good speed, can take the ball, take off, because the Browns don't get enough chunk plays in the passing game. That's been a flaw for this offense, not just in Kevin Stefanski's tenure, but basically forever. That the Browns were not a big chunk play on offense, probably since Derek Anderson, that 1 year with DA. And it's been missing, and it's part of the reason the Browns lose a lot of games. If that part of the offense happens this year, which I think this team is capable of with their quarterback and the upgrades at wide receiver, and their tight end too, then the Browns will. If that happens, the Browns will be a very successful team this year. So that's my dream offense for the Browns. G?
Well, listen, my dream offense is I want to see some 10 personnel. I want to see some 11 personnel. My dream scenario is coming out with, my base formation would have 3 receivers in it and a tight end.
Yes.
And so that's what we come out in base. Now, out of that base, I want Elijah Moore in motion. I want him picking apart people, trying to, diagnose where the defense is going. But more than that, I want to have him shifting back into the backfield, maybe swing him out of the backfield, running wheel routes, making those guys adjust. But the great thing about it is I'm looking to not only pass out of that, that's going to be one of my power running formations, because what you can do is now when you force somebody in nickel, now you can count the guys in the box. Now, Nick Chubb has traditionally always gone against boxes where you got 7, 8, 9 people in the box. If you come out with 3 wide receiver sets and a tight end that can move vertically like David Njoku, now you have an opportunity where now you may only have 4 or 5 guys in the box. Now you can't count on somebody making a one-on-one tackle with Nick Chubb, and he's going to break at least one. So now you have to pick your poison. Either Deshaun Watson can throw the ball downfield vertically, he can pull the ball and run, he can run some little quick orbit motion and swing passes with Goodwin. He can do that with Elijah Moore. You can find guys over the middle. And if you're using David Njoku on vertical routes and post and corner routes, I need the Travis Kelce playbook. That's what I need. I don't need him running those sit-down routes, Bull, like you talked about.
Yeah.
No 4-yard button hooks, and that ain't what we're looking for. And on top of it, now that opens up everything on the outside. I think Donovan Peoples-Jones will run more of the route tree. I just like the fact that vertical, if you can spread guys vertical, now you can run some of the underneath stuff. And for God's sakes, when I watch the 4 o'clock games, I see people wide open, Jason. Wide open, just running free. Just know they run so free it feel like they ain't got no bills. They have no bills. All their bills is paid. Car payment is done. And there's grocery and refrigerators. That's how free they is. I need the Browns to be free like that. I like 3 receiver sets. And by the way, I'm going to say this. Mark it down. Nick Chubb, 16 carries. 16. You see that?
Clip that.
You see that? You
Yeah.
see that?
Clip that.
Yeah.
You see that?
We're going to run that back
You
in
see what I
September.
did?
We're going to
You
run
see
that
what I
back.
16. 16. I need three attempts in the air. I need you to prove you're a better back, but I need the aerial attack.
Yeah.
16 carries.
Weren't you one of those 20 carry truthers last year?
Yeah, I was. I was. Listen. I was almost like it was a 20 carry.
J. Brad and G.
They stole the election and Nick Chubb's carries at the same time.
Jason, when we heard at the end of the show yesterday Deshaun Watson say, "Hey, this offense is totally different," we got excited about that. Did you?
Loved it.
No, duh.
Loved it.
Yes, of course it's going to be different.
But until you hear that,
No,
there's part of you
we've
that's
been
like,
saying it. How many times have I told you?
I hear you.
Kevin's going to sit down with Deshaun, and they're going to run through 45 plays. You like this one? Great, it's in. You don't like that one? It's out. It was always going to look totally different. It better look totally different.
It better.
He had Baker Mayfield and Jacoby Brissett's playbook before. This is going to look different. It has to look different. I want to see Deshaun around 70% completion percentage. That's sort of the new elite mark among NFL quarterbacks. It was an insane number to think about a few years ago. Now you're consistently seeing 3, 4, 5 guys or so around that 70. He did it in 2020 with a bunch of grocery clerks as his receivers.
Yep.
I want him in that 68 to 70% range, and really everything else trickles off of that. So I can't sit here and design the perfect route tree necessarily, but if Deshaun is completing passes, if he's seeing the field, if he's delivering the ball, guys have been running open for the last couple of years. They just had Baker throwing it to him. I'm serious. Like, I was watching games where people are screaming about the offense. I'm like, guys, do you realize that Kevin's scheming the receivers open? He just doesn't have a quarterback who can get him the ball. So if Deshaun returns to that right there you see 67% completion percentage. I wanted higher than that, 68, 69, 70, somewhere in that range.
By the way,
everything else is going to fall into place.
You know who led the league in completion percentage last year?
No. Kirk Cousins was up there, I think.
Geno Smith.
Oh, wow. Go
69.9.
So nobody was over 70 last year?
Nope.
Because generally it seems the last few years there's been 2 or 3 quarterbacks in that 70%
I mean, he
range.
was close. So in 20, no.
Generally because I always look at this, at like week 8, week 9, there's like 8, 7, 8, 9 guys over 70%, and you're like, oh my God, this is incredible. And then by the end of the year, it's usually down to 2 or 3.
So last year, Jason, 4 quarterbacks had a 68 completion percentage or higher, and 3 of those 4 played the full season. Stafford only played 9 games. Back in 2021, Joe Burrow did complete 70.4% of his passes, and then 5 others had over 68 completion percentage. Tua was at 67.8, so he's right on the precipice, as was Mac Jones.
Yeah, I think 68's the number.
Yeah.
But
Drew Brees one year was well over 70, I think.
13 quarterbacks in 21 had 67 completion percentage and/or higher. And then real quick, just for fun, we'll go back to 2020. 3 quarterbacks were over 70, including Deshaun Watson, Drew Brees, and Aaron Rodgers, who completed 71%. And that same season, 8 quarterbacks were 68% or higher. So 68 seems to be.
I think 69. You don't want to be just in the top 13. You want to be near the top of the top 13.
You beat me to it.
69%.
Nice. So anywhere in that 68 to 70 range.
That's what he needs to be.
That's where he needs to be.
Yeah.
And he can get there if Elijah Moore's tearing the top out of the defense. I think there is a place for Cedric Tillman. We've talked about it. I know he's a 3rd rounder. I know you have no idea what you're getting out of that. The Browns seem to like him better than the other receiver out of Tennessee, even if they had their pick of both. I don't know that he's so much a yak guy that you were talking about earlier. I think he is a catch, and that's where it's going to.
Right.
But still, guys who can freelance in this offense, guys who can, when a play breaks down, who can come back to the ball, who can get themselves open. I think that's a big key this year. Deshaun wants to make something happen, move out of the pocket, keep a play alive. Well, he's got to have a receiver who can sort of dance with him and knows the steps. So, but it all starts with Deshaun and how he's seeing the field, where he's going with it, and if he's completing passes or not.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I think the bottom line from all of us is the passing game has got to be dynamic.
Yeah.
The teams that win generally have dynamic pass offenses.
Yes. And AVP said it at OTAs last week. That chunk plays and driving the ball down the field is a big focus and a big emphasis on this season, which it has to. It's sort of a no-brainer. I mean, it's good he's saying it, whatever, but it's sort of it better be. Like, that's the whole reason that you're putting this together the way that you are.
And it's hard to do that being a run-heavy team. And, most run-heavy teams these days don't have success in the playoffs. Tennessee hasn't. Baltimore hasn't.
You limit your possessions, right? Like, and that works and that seems great. But what happens is you're counting on your defense, stopping somebody if you limit their possessions. Patrick Mahomes, you might not stop him on. You may actually stop him the first couple snaps or the first couple quarters or even a half. But he's going to put drives together, and he's going to put when he puts those 7 up.
Yeah.
Now you've been taking the air out of the football the whole doggone game, and now you've got to have a counter.
Right.
And if you're not built for that, it's not
hard to
work.
come back when you're a running team.
Yeah.
And when you have teams like Kansas City, Buffalo, and Cincinnati, who are as prolific offensively, and that's not even including the Jaguars, whose offense is really good,
and they're
the Chargers, who have not done anything in the playoffs, but they got a really talented offense. I mean, Miami, if Tua is healthy, how good could they be offensively? The Jets, if Aaron Rodgers has gas still left in the tank, could be really good. There's a lot of big-time pass offenses in this conference, and you've got to be able to keep up with them. The Browns got to throw the ball a lot. They got to throw the ball a lot to win. We'll see if they're capable of it. They should be. But you're right. Watson's got to be close to that 70% mark. That's where we expect him to be.
If he's down around 62,
that's a huge problem.
3%,
nope.
It's a problem.
Yep. Go ahead, Mikey.
One thing real quick. You mentioned Cedric Tillman. This was not in the rundown, but I was talking to my buddy. I think I've told you guys, but I worked in Tennessee right outside Knoxville when I first got into TV. Before Tillman was there, but I know a bunch of the people who still cover Tennessee. And Tillman came up, and we were talking about the Tillman-Hyatt, who was better, who was whatnot.
Right.
Very different skill sets. But he said that Tillman's sophomore year, so he was injured this most recent year, only played in, I believe, 7 games, was kind of banged up. His sophomore year, he said that's the best season I've seen. I remember seeing from a Tennessee receiver up close and personal. He's covering the team for 22 or 23 years now.
Yeah.
Since 2000, so this will be his 23rd football season.
Yeah.
Was the best receiver season he could remember seeing in person, and the most impressive considering the teams that he went off against, which were Alabama, Georgia, and some of the toughest teams on their schedule. He's like, I don't remember seeing a person or a receiver in that Tennessee orange uniform come in against the caliber of opponent and put up numbers like that as consistently as Tillman did. And he swears that this guy's going to be a stud in the NFL.
So. All right, listen, we all hope it happens.
Just wanted to throw that out there.
I think we got to realize that there's a lot that's got to be proven.
Yes.
Elijah Moore.
More than fair.
Elijah Moore was drafted high, but he's got 900 yards in 2 seasons.
Yeah.
He had his opportunity with the Jets, and he didn't make the most of it. Now, it's soured, and now he's got an opportunity here. I like the trade. I've always thought the guy had a lot of potential, but right now it's just potential. And same thing for this kid. So, we'll see. There was some hype and excitement for David Bell last year, and it went nowhere.
Yep.
And I'm not giving up on him yet either because it's only 1 season. But
Jason, is he a lock to make this roster?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, for at least 1 more year. I think David Bell's on this team.
They just drafted him in the 3rd round last year. And
if Anthony Schwartz can stick around for a 2nd year, David Bell can
now
stick
they have
around
better
for a
talent at
2nd
the
year.
position,
Sure.
but still. Well, I mean,
it's less of a David Bell thing, more of a numbers. They just have a bunch
so
of
you
receivers.
got
they could keep 7. They could
Cooper,
keep 7.
DPJ, Elijah Moore, what's
Tillman.
the kid?
Tillman.
They just drafted Tillman.
Right, so that's 4 definites.
Right.
Marquise Goodwin.
I don't know that Marquise Goodwin is definitely on the team.
I think he is.
You think he is?
I wouldn't say definitely, but I think he is.
It's not like he's done much in his career. He's a speed guy, but he's old and he hasn't done much.
I mean, is it him or Schwartz? You got to have some speed.
Schwartz is not on.
No, Schwartz is not going to be on the team.
So yeah,
I don't think. Man, I can't think of anybody's name right now. Jakeem Grant. I don't think he's definitely.
I got laughed off the set when I said he was not making this team.
Laughed off the set by who?
Off this set.
Not by me.
No, I don't think you were here that day. He's not making this team. Jakeem Grant's not.
And they just changed the rules. They don't even take kickoffs back.
Because Jakeem Grant is just a return guy, and they've got other options. So I don't. I would think so. So Godwin's 5, David Bell's 6. Who else are we talking about? Why wouldn't he make the team?
If they brought in Hopkins.
Well, they brought in Hopkins.
Then it turns into a numbers game.
Well, but right out, we were going to say it's a long shot. So
Cooper, Moore, DPJ, Tillman, Goodwin, Bell.
That's your 6.
That's
and if they keep a 7, then it might be Jakeem Grant.
Maybe it is Jakeem Grant, but I don't think he makes
Who else is in the – I mean, Schwartz is not going to be on the team. Who else would be in that competition
I was just asking
for another guy?
Throwing out a question to you guys.
There was another receiver. Who was the receiver who had like 100 to 200 yards last year? Another rookie.
Mike Harley? Well, he tore his Achilles, though.
I don't know.
Michael Woods.
Michael Woods.
Who got hurt, though. Remember he tore his –
he's hurt.
Oh, he's out for the year, too?
He's out for the year.
Yeah.
All right, so I think we know. If they keep 6, we know who the 6 are going to be. If they keep a 7th, maybe Jakeem Grant or maybe Anthony Schwartz is the. What would be the point of keeping Anthony Schwartz as the seventh wide receiver? If you're going to keep a seventh receiver, it's going to be a guy who can play special teams. And that's not Anthony Schwartz, really. So I don't think there's any way he's on the team unless the team has a bunch of injuries, which that would be a disaster. All right, a lot of other players spoke yesterday at Browns minicamp.
We do, and before we get to that, though, Jason, you were at minicamp yesterday.
Yeah.
I know you spent a lot of time watching Watson. Anything outside of Watson that stood out that you want to touch on before we get to the last part of this Browns conversation?
Cade York looked good.
Really?
I joked. I said,
high pressure kicks.
If we could call timeout during Browns games, home games, move everyone to Berea, put him on the practice field,
right,
he'd make every kick.
Every kick.
He was 5 of 6. The miss he had was really bad, but the 5 makes were right down the middle. So, I mean, again, I spend most of the time watching Deshaun, but I did notice the Cade thing. Otherwise, there's not really a whole lot to.
When they did the full team practice, were they running a lot of 3 wide receiver sets?
Some, yeah, some.
Okay, but not a lot.
I don't know. Quantify a lot.
70%.
Oh God. All right. No, actually, I won't. No, I was gonna say next time I'm out there,
I'll
keep stats of formations and.
That's asking a lot from Jason.
That is asking a lot from my ADD riddled brain.
Is there any chatter? I mean, anything else? Any chatter about anything that was interesting?
Anything with the defense? Anything Schwartz said or anything? Did you glance down there?
No, Schwartz is. I just. It's fun to watch Jim Schwartz. Like I enjoy watching him in action because he's on the field. Yeah. Like I think we talked about that before. Yeah. He's standing. Not on 11-on-11, but on 7-on-7, he's standing next to the center, so in facing the defense,
right?
So he can see guys as they're moving around and see who's going where. I hate to let you guys down. I don't have any great big.
Is he getting on guys? Like hard.
I heard it, and Jason, you could please confirm this, but I heard if there was a live camera around Jim Schwartz during a practice, you would not be able to audibly hear any word because it would just be the tone-deaf, explicit word beep the entire
time.
It.
Yeah, he gets after it.
Love it. I love that.
He was yelling at the coaches. I had someone else tell me he was yelling at the coaches because they were in the way. He couldn't see, and he was telling the coaches, get off the field so I could see the players.
Yell at the assistant coaches.
So, yeah, he's fiery. He's
good.
He's fun.
They need that.
I agree.
Because Kevin's such a vanilla guy. You need the other coach to be a little fiery.
Jim Schwartz is a little bit of a red ass.
I like that.
You need that because Joe Woods was kind of like Stefanski.
Very laid back.
So you need if the offensive guy is chill.
And of all the guys you want, I think you want your DC. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, you want the DC to be. And it seems like Ray Ventrone, we were saying yesterday, seems like he's still thinks he's playing. In a way.
He's running out on kickoff.
Yeah. He was talking last week about why he cut his hair. It was funny. He said he just didn't have time anymore to take care of it. And but he does still have very much a player's mentality.
Yeah. That's good.
Yeah.
Did you see DeQuell out there? Was he back this week?
I did not see him. That doesn't mean he wasn't there, but I did not see him yesterday.
And I do think it's good that, speaking of special teams for a minute, I do think it's good that the Browns specifically added a few players who are special teams guys. I feel like it's a part of the team that the Browns have kind of pushed to the side over the years. They've not focused. They really made it a focus, bringing in a highly thought of special teams coach, a guy who played the position, signing 2 I can't even remember their names because it's such obscure guys, but they signed 2 free agents this offseason that are specifically special teams ace type of guys. And I think it's important to have some of those guys, and the Browns really haven't.
Well, I think they tried addressing it with Grant, and then he got hurt.
Well, but not just a return guy. I mean, these are guys who are they play all 4 phases. They block, they tackle, they do all this stuff.
Yeah.
The little things that don't show up in the box score that are important to getting those extra yards on special teams.
Yeah.
I was thinking about this, Jason. Is this a year if the Browns are successful, and it jumps off with Stefanski and it jumps off with Deshaun Watson? Could you foresee this as something where, for the first time, Kevin Stefanski would be a coach that got the second contract?
Yeah.
And when he gets
technically you did.
But we didn't count that. But he showed no promise.
It was a 1-year extension.
Yes,
for Hugh.
But do you think if Kevin Stefanski they come out, they do great this year, you get to the second year, he gets the extension, Do you think this could be like the first time you would actually say, like, okay, the Browns are set up for now some sort of success because they made it through the storm? So to speak?
I mean, if they do well this year, I would imagine he would get another 4-year extension.
I'll make this bold statement because this is crazy in Browns history.
Yeah.
If the Browns have a big year, like win double-digit games, go to the playoffs, win at least a game, because I mean, it's going to be hard to win in the playoffs.
Yes.
Because the AFC's tough. But if they have a really good season and Deshaun Watson looks like the guy we traded for, I think Kevin Stefanski will make it to double-digit years as coaching the Browns. I'm going to say that right now. Because
Your knees are jerking. Your knees are jerking like Jesus.
Oh, his knees is going. Oh, there we go.
Knees and belly. Knees and belly.
Nope, that was an image I stare right at.
Oh, my God.
I'm looking directly.
But let me tell you
I'll never
something.
see that ever again, Bull. I love you, Bull.
Let me tell you something. Here's why. This makes a lot of sense if we can calm everybody down here. For my shaky knees. I had him going there. I was about to fly away.
I need therapy.
All right. You do. You certainly do. My reasoning is this. For all my criticism of Jimmy Haslam, I'm not a fan of Jimmy Haslam at all. You said something the other day that I actually agree with. I think he is dying to be like the Steelers and have a coach that's there forever.
Yes.
Yeah.
But he's done such a shitty job at picking coaches that it's not even been possible.
Right.
So if Kevin Stefanski takes this team to the playoffs for the second time in 4 years, and most importantly, he gets the most talented quarterback in the history of the franchise to play like the most talented quarterback in the history of the franchise, they're locked in together.
Yeah.
And he's not – it would have to fall apart so bad for him to get fired
Well,
after
you're
that.
talking about in year 4, if things go well, he'll make it to year 10.
I'm saying.
That's a really long bridge.
Hey, that's why it's a –
with no gas stations.
See, I read Connor Orr's article on SI about bold predictions, 100 bold predictions, and about 13 of them were bold.
That is
if you're going to make
certainly
a bold prediction, saying a Browns coach is going to make it to year 10, that's a bold prediction.
I could foresee too many disasters in year 6, 7, and 8.
Certainly.
To believe that
100%.
because of what happens in year 4, he's going to make it to year 10.
Hey,
that's why it's a bold prediction.
I hope you're right. I hope you're right.
It's great for the franchise if they're right.
If that aerial attack happens where the Cleveland Browns they step into this century and they vertically throw the ball, people will go crazy. People will go crazy, man.
Yeah.
They're going to go nuts.
How many coaches have made it to 10 years, current coaches with the same team?
Belichick,
Tomlin,
Harbaugh, Pete Carroll.
Has Andy Reid hadn't been there 10 years?
I don't think so.
He might have.
Andy Reid got – that's a good question. I don't think so. Give me one sec.
Was Sean Payton, before he left New Orleans, he was there 10 years, wasn't he?
No.
Peyton was there 10 years.
Was he?
Yes.
10 years. 10 years is.
This will be Andy Reid's
That's a
10th
milestone.
season,
This
by the
is
way.
his 10th. Okay.
All right,
It's a small group.
That's
small
an
group.
That's a lot.
accomplishment today. That's a huge
but Marvin
accomplishment.
Lewis was in Cincinnati for almost 20 years.
Yeah.
And I lied. Sean Payton only made it 8 years in New Orleans.
And to your point, Bull,
Yeah.
I've mentioned this a couple times when we sat with Jimmy and D at the owners' meetings last year, not this past couple
right,
months,
right.
after they signed Deshaun. And Jimmy told me, when he went to Pittsburgh, they had Kevin Colbert, Mike Tomlin, and Ben Roethlisberger at the 3 most important positions in the franchise. That's what he's trying to get to. And if they can do it with Deshaun, Kevin, and Andrew Berry, yes, he would be ecstatic. And I've said it before. He doesn't want to keep firing people. He's embarrassed by it.
As he should be.
And the fact that they did give Hugh an extension coming off a winless season tells you how desperate he is for some sort of stability. So, yeah, any chance that they have, any reason that they have to hold on to these guys, they're going to. And that's why, I when I look at the schedule, I look at it and go, oh, God, this is set up for a bye-week firing of like a blowout.
It is.
Right.
With the difficult teams stacked on top of each other and the early bye, I look at this and go, man, this isn't good.
I mean,
but I hope it doesn't come to that.
Well, you think about it. I mean, I feel like I've said this before, but I'll say it again. It is the most critical year by far in recent Browns franchise history. Because
this schedule is
either
crazy.
Deshaun Watson is going to finally be the quarterback that is the great quarterback for the Browns for a while, and they're winning and they're in the mix every year, or he just has lost it he's a disaster and everyone gets fired. The extremes, like if it goes well, it's not as crazy as it seems. It's not crazy to say Stefanski and Berry and Watson could be here for the rest of the decade.
Right.
On the other hand, the coach and the GM could be fired by week 4.
Hey, Mikey, can you pull up the first couple of weeks?
Especially the coach.
If we talked last year about how critical the Carolina game was, and it felt like a massive game 1 for obvious reasons. This one also feels like a massive game 1 against Cincinnati because you got the Steelers. That's a Monday night game, right? At Pittsburgh on a Monday night in week 2.
The schedule's hard.
Titans should be a win, but the Ravens are never easy. That's never an easy game.
No.
If you're 1-3 at the bye week, what happens? You know what I mean? Like I think that they have more time than that, but I just don't.
Right.
I don't like the setup of that first 5 weeks.
I hate it.
It's set up for really disaster.
It's tough. Now you do have the two of the 3 division games are at home, which is
that
nice,
helps.
and 3 and 4 overall at home.
That week 1 game, it feels like now. Listen, they beat Carolina. It didn't matter because they just threw up all over their shoes.
Yeah, right.
In week 2, but if you lose to that Bengals team and then you got to go on the road to Pittsburgh on a Monday night, that seems like a really hard.
Right.
turnaround.
On the other hand, if you win, you'll feel good about them going to Pittsburgh and possibly being 3-0.
If you come out of this thing 3-1, 4-0, forget knees shaking.
Oh my God! Yeah.
Forget like the whole television. The house gonna be shaking.
The city will break off.
Bro,
yes.
are you serious?
Yeah.
Like
Cleveland will fall into the lake and float to Canada.
Yes, it will. It'll be an island.
3-0.
Just listen. It's just 3 against the AFC North. Are you serious? Like people would go crazy. Like it would be they'd lead every story. It'd be a national headline. When is the last time the Browns went 3-0 in the division in the AFC North?
3-0 to start the season. When's the last time they went 3-0 to start the season?
Well, haven't they lost 21 of 23?
Yeah.
The last time they went 3-0
Probably
to
the
start
80s.
season.
Probably the 80s. Like you get off to a start like that, they're gonna be thinking.
I don't even know. I mean, I can't think of it off the top of my head. Go ahead, Mikey.
We got about 10 minutes before Mandy Bell joins us and talk a little Guardians. This I want to have a little fun with here. And before I do that, I want to tell you where we're getting these clips. And, of course, if we're talking about the internet, we're talking about PCC Airfoils. Are you looking for a job with career advancement and great benefits? Well, PCC Airfoils is a leading manufacturer in Northeast Ohio. All locations of PCC Airfoils in Eastlake, Menor, Wickliffe, and Minerva are hiring for all positions starting at $18 and up, plus full benefit packages, paid time off, and a signing bonus. You can apply online at precast.com/careers to learn more. Kevin Stefanski brought a basketball hoop out to minicamp yesterday, Jason. You are a resident basketball expert. So I wanted to play some of the.
There was one dude. He wasn't wearing a jersey and he was too far away. I couldn't see who it was. Mm-hmm. Unbelievable athleticism, 360 dunks. He looked like a defensive lineman. Maybe.
Well, we have the videos.
Was it? What's his name? The kid from Ohio State?
No.
DeJuan Jones. No, you would know.
Yeah, no.
Jones.
Yeah, it wasn't DeJuan.
And we have video of him taking jump shots. So Steve, let's take the dunk contest video first. Anthony, you could hit play, and let's grade some dunks here.
Oh, who is
Myles Garrett, Alex Wright, Hunter Bedford, and maybe this is the guy you're thinking of. I am JM.
No, it wasn't him. It was the. Who was that?
I don't know.
That's the guy, I think.
That's Myles Garrett.
Yeah, no, it wasn't Myles.
That's the guy right there.
That's Myles.
That's Myles Garrett.
It was not the guy with the headband. It was the other guy in the orange sleeveless shirt.
Okay.
He was throwing down him.
That's Hunter Head. No,
not him.
The white guy was.
Who's
Hunter
the white
Hedford.
guy?
That's Hunter Hedford.
Ah, okay.
Bedford.
Show me some love.
White men can jump.
Big 6'0".
He was doing 360s.
That's cool.
It was impressive.
I'm surprised they let them do this and weren't worried about torn ACL.
So we have some more. So this was JOK. Steve, Anthony could play it. JOK decided to come over, tell the media, I'm about to drain this. And then this happens.
Oh, that's ugly.
Oh, boy.
And he shoots with 2 hands.
Jason, you were thinking of Alex Wright, by the way, according to
JOK.
Alex Wright.
Okay.
JOK has the worst gear in Berea.
That was a Luke Herringody shot right there.
Why does he have high tops on? He has high top Chuck Taylor cleats.
Luke Herringody played on the awful Cavs teams back when they were tanking.
Oh, yeah.
After LeBron left the first time.
Yeah.
I saw Luke shoot a 3 from the top of the 3-point arc. He hit the flag in the bottom right corner of the backboard. And to this day, it was the worst shot I've ever seen in the NBA. From the top of the three-point arc to hit the American flag in the lower corner of the backboard.
By the way, the 2001 Browns lost their first game but won 3 in a row after that. Does that count?
Does not count.
No.
3-0.
Well, Jason and G, not only did we just see JOK shoot, we saw a bunch of dudes take jump shots. You can play this video, Steve.
The Browns can't shoot.
Hey, why?
Oh,
That was
worse than me.
David and Njoku look like a creative player who just missed the green dot.
Oh.
According to Hayden Grove, Andrew Berry walked by while this was happening and said, well, at least I'm not worried about the Cavs stealing any of my guys.
Andrew Berry said that?
He was walking by the media, and made the joke.
That's
was
pretty
going
good.
through.
See, they were far. I wasn't. I was standing over at the interview area, which is a long ways away from there. Hayden was up close around the hoop while that was going on. Obviously, I was too far away.
I just downloaded what you said. You said Luke Herringody, bro. That's that Samardo Samuels era.
Christian
Christian
Iyenga.
Oh,
Yep.
Oh, bro, that was one of the worst eras I've ever seen in my life.
I did an oral history on that team, and they just destroyed Iyenga. They said Iyenga acted like he couldn't understand English. When you asked him something he didn't want to do, he would go, but he spoke English just fine.
By the way, I have found the last time the Browns started the season 3-0.
When?
1993.
Really?
Now they finished that season 7-9.
Was that the 51-0? No, that wasn't 51-0.
You know who they beat in the first game of the week?
Who?
The Bengals at home.
Oh yeah.
In Cleveland. Bernie was the quarterback. The Browns beat the Bengals 27-14, beat the Niners 23-13, beat the Raiders 19-6. Unfortunately, they started 3-0. They were 5-2. And then they won.
Is that
then
when
they
Bernie
lost
got
7-9 to end the season.
Is that when Bernie got hurt? Is that when he broke his ankle against the Niners?
I mean,
did he break his ankle against the Niners and played on it anyway?
Bernie played 6 games that year.
I think that might have been when he. I don't know.
And Vinny Testaverde started. Bernie started 6. Vinny Testaverde started 6, and Todd Philcox started 4.
Yeah, I thought it might have been when Bernie broke his ankle.
and was that they beat the Niners? That had to have been Joe Montana Niners, or was he with Kansas City?
93 would have been Steve Young, I think. Maybe that was 95. Montana went to Kansas City.
It was. Let's see. The quarterback was Steve Young. Steve Young threw 3 picks in that game. No touchdowns, 3 picks.
Oh, that was Miami. He broke his ankle against.
Yeah.
Never mind.
Okay. Anyway, that was it. So it's 30 years.
30
it's
years.
been 30 years
time.
since the Browns started 3-0.
One guy did, though, look very impressive with the basketball in his hands yesterday. And, Steve, you can take this last video. But DeJuan Jones, who was a highly recruited basketball star coming out of high school,
Push.
My God,
still
is he
has the
large.
jumper.
Buckets.
Look how small he makes the person standing next to him look.
He could be a stretch 4.
Is that another player that he's next to?
No, it's I don't know who it is.
He would be a stretch 6. He's so big, he's bigger than the center. He's a stretch 6.
Stretch 6.
How much?
That's a
he's
pretty
like
looking
400
form,
pounds.
though.
Isn't
It
he?
is. That's a good looking shot.
What do you say, Bull?
He's like 400 pounds, isn't he?
He was listed at 379 coming out of Ohio
No,
State.
he's not.
He's bigger than that.
Stop it.
I think he's
At
3.
all.
I don't think he's more. I think he's around 385.
I bet you he's 400 pounds. It's all bullshit.
Do you think he plays at all this year?
Yeah.
You think they'll put him on like some goal line packages or something?
Yeah, he could. I mean, it's all maturity with him. It's all being a professional and if he can grow up a little bit.
And let's face it, the Browns have had a lot of injuries on their offensive line.
Yeah, they have. I mean, you're talking about trying to rely on Conklin to stay healthy for 17
And Wyatt
games.
Teller's missed time every year.
Teller's, they're not moving DeJuan to guard.
No,
I
I
don't
know,
think.
but just, he maybe the first backup tackle up has to play guard because, 2 guys get hurt.
Somebody hit me with a hot take. It was kind of flaming at the time. He said Wyatt Teller was a one-hit wonder. He said that one year he had, 2020 was his best year. He was knocking everybody out. He said, but
I think he was a one-hit wonder in terms of an elite play.
Yeah.
He's been fine. He's been good.
He had the calf injury last year. I think that lingered longer
Yeah.
than people realize. I think he was pretty banged up. It's a big year for him. We don't really talk about him because he's a guard.
Right.
But this could be his last year here.
Oh, no.
It probably is. I mean,
And again, it goes back to the $50 million cap hit on a quarterback. You can't carry guards making
No, you can't.
$30
they're paying
million.
a ton of money to their offensive line.
Between Nick Chubb and 2 guards making $30 million, something's got to give here.
Yeah. You know.
$30 million total between the guards.
And even though Bitonio's getting up in age, like Bitonio's a sure thing.
Yeah.
He doesn't get hurt.
I think
He's great every
If
year.
you have to pick between Teller and Bitonio, you're probably picking Bitonio, even though
doubt.
Teller's younger.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's even close. You know, Teller's had one season where he played at that superior level.
Yeah.
Bitonio's done it basically every year of his career.
Yeah.
All right, Mandy Bell of MLB.com.
She'll be joining us any second now, but it is officially 12 o'clock. And, guys, you know what that means. It is time to remind the good people out there that the Longshot of the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show is sponsored by Colleague Companies Championship, July 12th through the 16th at the famous Firestone Country Club. You can check out all your favorite golfers down there in the great state of Ohio. Free concerts, free admission for kids, fun, family-friendly events for everybody. And that is happening on July 12th through the 16th. Check them out at colleaguegolf.com. Mandy Bell is in the queue. I'm going to get a mic check from her real quick.
All right.
And then we'll bring her on. So, Bull, I need you to fill 20 seconds, and then we'll get
I think I can handle filling 20 seconds. I'm trying to find out when my T-shirt is coming. But anyway, Guardians did win last night, getting the victory over Boston, and Mandy Bell is here. We're talking with Mandy Bell from MLB.com. Obviously, she did that video with her best friend, Sarah Langs, who horrifically was diagnosed with ALS at the age of 28. Do I have that right, Mandy?
Yep.
I by the way, I'm just looking. I'm looking right now because I ordered my T-shirt. Baseball is the best T-shirt, and I was hoping I would have it today, but I just got the email this morning that it's on the way. Because and I was happy they had a 4XL. I didn't know if they would have my size, but they had a 4XL. Obviously, that story was got to everybody. By the way, how did you, you guys don't live near each other, how did you become such close friends? For those who don't know, before you even answer that, clarify, for those who may not know, I mentioned it earlier in the show, but tell us about Sarah, what she does in baseball for those who may not know, who may not be big baseball fans, and then how did you guys become so close?
Yeah, sure. I mean, she's the best baseball researcher out there. She started her career with ESPN in 2015. We were lucky enough to get her at MLB.com in 2019, and she's sort of blown up since she's come to MLB. I mean, her Twitter presence is enormous. You probably have seen her as the girl who tweets "Baseball is the best." If you don't know her by anything else, she just has an unbelievable, unmatched passion for baseball, and it's just infectious. And so it's sort of how she became known. And of course, it helps that she has every stat known to man behind that. But we both started in 2019 full-time for MLB. I was out at spring training for covering Cleveland's camp, and our boss messaged me and said, "Hey, this girl who's going to be starting with us in a couple weeks is out there on a trip with her mom right now. I think she's going to be coming to Cleveland's game tonight. Do you have any interest in meeting up with her?" So I just said, sure, why not? I mean, I might as well meet a coworker. And so we met for 15, 20 seconds. It wasn't even that long. We just said hi real quick, figured out what each other did, and just said, all right, well, she was like, if you need any stats ever, keep in touch. And of course I was like, oh yeah, well, of course I'm going to want that. And what we ended up doing was just talking every single day, not just about baseball, but became really good friends. And so it was just this long distance relationship where she's based in New York, I'm in Cleveland, but we talked all the time and saw each other a handful of times after that.
What's so awful is that, ALS has been around forever. It was first became famous, if you will, with Lou Gehrig, of course. It was often referred to as, it's still often referred to as Lou Gehrig's disease. There's no cure. They've been working on it for years. It's heartbreaking. I did emceed a number of events here in Cleveland for the ALS Foundation, and it's so heartbreaking what the families have to go through. It's so hard on everybody involved, and in particular in this case when it's a young person. It just makes it's just so unfair. It's so I know life sucks sometimes, and these are one of the times that it sucks. But she seems to have a great attitude, and hopefully one day we will have a cure for this, because this disease is just so horrible. How is she doing at the time? At the moment?
I mean, as good as you can. Her attitude's unbelievable, as you can see all throughout social media, constantly. I think the biggest thing is you sort of touched on it. It's just how painful it is that she's so young, and I think not many people realize that can happen. It's always sort of geared toward men who are maybe up in their 60s, 70s. It just seems like an older man disease. And I think her biggest thing right now is just showing that that's not the case. As you can see her boyfriend joining the set there. That's awesome. I love that photo. Her boyfriend's the second one in from the right, and he's been unbelievable for her. He's an MBA researcher because, of course, they're like funny. A match made in heaven. Yeah. But he's been unbelievable for her, and he's sort of been the backbone of all of this. So, yeah, I think the biggest thing for her is just making sure that everyone understands that it's not just older men who have to get this. There's people out there all the time. It's not rare. Everyone wants to say it's rare. It's just underfunded. That's always her message. So she's used her platform to make sure that people know more about it, and I'm positive that'll make a difference.
Mandy, in terms of the T-shirt, which I referenced, if you want to talk about that or anything else or any other way to promote for people donating, the floor is yours for that.
Yeah, RotoWear's been amazing. They reached out to me last year and sent me a design and said, "What do you think of this?" And my jaw dropped. I couldn't believe that they figured out a way to put end ALS through baseball is the best, which is her signature mantra. It was just perfect, absolutely perfect. So they surprised her with that. And not only is it a cool design, like that's one of the most comfortable T-shirts I have. And I've heard that from a lot of people. So definitely would recommend having that. If you just go to RotoWear's website, you can go on their Twitter page. They've promoted it like crazy. They've been amazing. So if you go on there, you can get the T-shirt. Or you can just go, Sarah's favorite charity is Project ALS. So if you're ever looking for anything, there's thousands out there. You could go to wherever, but if you're looking for one in particular, Project ALS is the one that Sarah's worked so closely with. So if you ever want to donate to help find a cure somehow, some way, that would be the one that Sarah would recommend.
And if it doesn't matter if you're rich or whatever, just donate what you can. Yep. Mandy, on a much lighter note, want to talk some Guardians with you. Obviously, it's been an ugly season so far. Fortunately for them, the whole division's terrible, and so they're right there, even though they've pretty much played lousy baseball for much of the season. It's a weird position to be in because it feels like they're kind of a bad team, or at least a below-average team, and yet it almost seems like no matter how poorly they play, they're just not going to be out of it. Now, you want them to play better, but how do you feel about their chances to at least make the playoffs as of right now?
It's hard to have low odds here just because the division is so bad right now. So it seems like no matter what they're going to do, there's going to be some sort of a race. There's going to be some sort of a race at the end of the season. That's just what this is pointing toward. Now, there's a difference between how confident in just making the playoffs and how confident I could be in them making a run. So they wouldn't be able to make a run being what they've been so far. Yes, they might be able to find a way to come out on top in the AL Central just because the division has struggled overall, but they need to make sure that they're clicking on all cylinders to compete with the other teams that are in the postseason as well. So that's going to be the big focus, getting going here, making sure that when the offense is going, that the bullpen can also back them up. And not when the bullpen's lights out, then the offense can only get one run on the board. And the only way they win is if the pitching staff is perfect. It's trying to get all things to click at the same time. And I think that they're confident in what they've seen from Josh Bell, Josh Naylor recently. Those guys are starting. I mean, Naylor's been great all year. It just seems like he ran into bad luck more than he was struggling at the beginning of the season. So now that things are starting to fall his way, Josh Bell has shown indications of starting to get going here. He has 6 straight games with an RBI. That's what they got him for. Knock in runs, provide some power. He hasn't really done the power part yet, but if they can get him going, if he can get the ball in the air rather than on the ground, he's a completely different player. So there's still reasons to have hope. There's still reasons to think that this team can catch fire. It's just whether or not they're going to do it.
That's exactly where I was going to go, Mandy, is Josh Bell. And 8 RBIs in his last 6 games. He does have a home run, a 6-game hitting streak. It feels like Jimenez is starting to stabilize a little bit, and he's starting to drive in some runs. And it feels like this team's never going to lead the league in home runs. They're probably not even going to be middle of the pack at this point. But it's starting to feel like at least the lineup might be starting to stabilize. Is that fair?
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, last year they weren't even in the middle of the pack in home runs. Like, they proved that they can get over that. It's not like home runs is everything. They've never been that team, and they weren't supposed to be that team coming into the year. Yeah, you add Josh Bell to the mix, and you should have more than what you have, but they were never going to be looked at as this dangerous power-hitting team. So they should be able to get over that, whether they're getting the power from him or not. It's just whether they're getting any type of production from those key spots, because we thought going into the year, Josh Bell's going to be the difference maker for Jose Ramirez. You have that behind Jose, then he can finally get some better pitching. But whenever Josh Bell's struggling, then Jose can't benefit. Tito was just talking about it yesterday. Jose might get pitched more carefully than any other hitter in the league. And so you start thinking about how difficult it is on Jose. It trickles down to whenever the guys behind him, and Naylor, Bell, Jimenez, when they're struggling, when that middle of the order is not producing, I don't know where you're supposed to get your runs. And so that's just the biggest thing. And if Jimenez can be clicking, Will Brennan's been great over the last 10 days or so. Yep. That's the key. They just need to get some guys going, even if it's just a handful. Not everyone has to be going at the same time. Jose Ramirez just went through an 0-for-16 stretch, and they were figuring it out. So as long as someone can be going, they should be able to do just enough, at least, to get through with the pitching staff that they have.
You know, Mandy, you mentioned Will Brennan. That's where I was going to go. We thought Oscar Gonzalez was going to take the next step, and he might have had a season where he's producing some power and doing some things at the plate. But since May 29th, Will Brennan is batting .560. His on-base percentage is .593. Slugging .840. He has 14 hits, 5 RBIs. So it looks like he kind of, is a guy who's getting hot right now. Are you surprised that Will Brennan is the guy in right field, or is a guy who's getting hot lately?
Honestly, I'm not. I really think that this organization has believed in him from day one. What we saw from him from day one is it just seems like he's really a sound player. He seems like he's way more mature and ready for the big leagues than what a player his age and experience level should be. And so for him to grind through the struggles that he had at the beginning of the season this year and get to this point is impressive. To do that at the big league level without needing a trip down to AAA when you're this young and don't have much experience to draw back on, it's impressive. And so for him to get here, it's not too surprising. I really do think that Oscar Gonzalez ran into a lot of good luck last year just because he is ultra aggressive at the plate. And you couldn't ask Tito a question about Oscar without getting that type of a response. Like, yes, he's been doing great, but he still is ultra aggressive. That word always came up. And so he was a little bit more exposed this year. The league made some corrections to how they were going to be pitching him. He started to get a little bit chase happy. And I think it's difficult to rein that back in once your profile is that, and then you're starting to be exposed at the big league level. They knew that this was going to be a possibility, and last year he just ran into so many, like when he was making contact on the pitches in the zone, because his chase rate was still crazy last year, it was just he was making such an impact on those pitches. And so whenever he's not making an impact on the pitch that he might be able to make contact with in the zone, that's whenever it goes really south. So I don't think I'm too surprised that Will Brennan was the one who ended up coming out on top here.
Mandy, while obviously the offense has been a little better lately, and I agree that home runs isn't everything, I'm still really concerned about the offense. You're getting zero production out of catcher. Every year, whether it's Jay Crawford or somebody else here tries to convince me that this is the year that Miles Straw is going to hit. He's never going to hit. I know he's a great defensive player, but he can't hit. So you got two holes in the lineup. And, yeah, home runs aren't everything, but, like, they're on pace for under 100 home runs. I just don't know if you can consistently win when you have no power whatsoever. We've talked about Shane Bieber maybe getting traded. I hope that if they do trade Bieber, and obviously I want your take on whether you think they will, that they try to trade him, that it's more of like a major league trade to get a proven hitter. I know it's not easy to do, but like they can't just keep trading for minor leaguers. They got enough minor leaguers. You got to get some proven hitters, I think, in this lineup that can slug. Do you think Bieber will get traded, and do you think they will make that kind of trade for a proven hitter?
It's tough to know on June 8th what their decision will be in the last week of July, just because you don't know what the next 6-7 weeks are going to bring. Are they going to be true contenders here? Do they need to try to find someone who's going to be an immediate impact bat? Because if you don't, then maybe you have a little wiggle room on what guys you're targeting. And I know it's not the popular answer, but maybe they do go with someone who might not be ready until next year or then the year after that. They love to build for the future. But I think that there's a great chance that he's dealt. I don't see why you wouldn't consider it. I don't see why you wouldn't shop it hardcore on the market, just because he has a year and a half of control left that will bring a bigger return than what a year would in the offseason. There's teams that are highly competitive. You start thinking about the Rangers right now, who just had the worst news with Jacob deGrom, and they've been unbelievable. Their offense has been unbelievable. They want to win now. You think about those types of teams who are going to want starting pitching, and Shane Bieber's a great option. Now, the thing is with Bieber, though, his numbers are weird, and like he's been great, and he can still get them in the win column, and he's still effective, but his underlying numbers are really going in the wrong direction. His velocity hasn't gone in the right direction over the last few years. His strikeout rate has plummeted. He's a different pitcher, it seems like, every single year, but he still figures out how to be effective. So I don't know what that means for his trade value. I don't know what that means for how other teams are going to value him. It's really difficult to know, especially at this point. But my guess is, at least right now, I would say there's a strong possibility, as there should be at this point, to say, okay, Shane Bieber might be traded this year.
Yeah. Can you explain to me and the fans, because I get this question every day, and I don't have a good answer, why is Bo Naylor not on this team right now? And will he be sooner rather than later?
I really don't have an answer for that, because when we ask about it, the answer's never clear cut as to why he's not here. There's been times where they've talked about why maybe he needs to work on more throwing, or he's not ready, and like defensively, or sometimes it's not if it's the player that's ready, it's what we need at the big league level, and if there's a spot for him. And I know that sends fans off right there, because they say there definitely is a need, because look at what the production has been. The answer's never been clear cut to us. And I'm shocked, because I guessed going into the year that it would have been at latest mid-May by the time we would see Bo Naylor. And once he comes up, then I figured it wouldn't take long for him to be the top guy, and for him to be the one who's getting most of the innings behind the plate. So I know it's making fans frustrated, because his numbers have been great. His performance has been great, especially offensively. And that's not what they've gotten at the big league level. So I want to say sooner than later, but I also would have answered that in March. So yeah. I really am not sure, but you would have to think that we're getting to the point that he's going to be coming up to the big leagues.
Yeah. Mandy, for an offense that's starved for any sort of production, when you look at small sample size alert, small sample size, establish that. Owen Miller's hitting 300 in Milwaukee. Nolan Jones is he's only been up for a couple weeks, hitting 300 something. Couple of home runs, hit a bomb, I think, last night. Is there any fear that they missed with those guys? And I would even take it back to Yandy Diaz and look at what he's flourished into in Tampa.
Fantastic.
Yeah, and why is it so difficult for this organization to develop hitting? And Yandy's taken a number of years, so we'll sort of set him aside. I just wanted to at least make note of that. But Owen Miller and Nolan Jones, at least, are off to terrific starts in the National League this year.
Yeah, I mean, Yandy Diaz would be someone that I would say definitely. I think that one's tough to sit there and watch, and it has to be painful to see the success. And when you ask the organization about it, they just say, well, there's some guys out there that just need a change of scenery. And that's never really the answer that anyone's looking for. But yeah, I think it's tough. But like you said, it is small sample sizes with Nolan Jones and Owen Miller. Owen Miller especially, like they really did give him a long look, to the point that I remember getting Twitter notifications all the time about people saying, why is Owen Miller still in the lineup? It's difficult, because you need to address as much as you can winning now. And when that player is just not serving that role, he's taking up spots in the minor league system of guys that you're really trying to develop, because their middle infield has just been overly jammed for so long now. And when Owen Miller was in that mix, you have to cut some ties with some guys. And sometimes you are going to lose out, and sometimes it's not going to work out. I think it's way too soon now to know if they have lost out on someone like Owen Miller. It's a small sample size of him in Milwaukee. And so I don't know. And if Nolan Jones was here, would you rather have Nolan Jones in right field than Will Brennan? Will Brennan's finally getting going. I know there would be an argument that Will Brennan should be in center and Nolan Jones should be in right. I understand all of those things, but it's also like the team wants to make sure that defense in center field, there's so many moving parts, and it's just there's so many spots in the roster. I think especially with Owen Miller, it's trying to figure out what middle infielders are going to be here for the long term, and he just wasn't in that long-term picture.
Yeah. And in fairness to the Guardians, Clint Frazier's been a bust, Bradley Zimmer's been a bust. Jesus Aguilar had that 1 year, but he's done nothing.
Right.
Giovanni Urshela's been okay.
But he also bounced around to a couple teams before.
He did.
Freaking Jake Bowers is playing well. Like,
he's
who
playing
saw that coming?
But I don't buy that.
I don't either.
I don't buy. I think it's an anomaly. It's a Yankee anomaly.
I never thought he would. I thought he'd be working at Dillard's by now.
Yeah. Will Benson in a small sample size off to a rough start of the league. He hit a home run yesterday for Cincinnati. Mandy, last thing, in honor of your friend Sarah, I want to talk about a stat that has nothing to do with the Guardians, and that's the season that the average baseball fan is not talking about, but Luis Arraez of the Miami Marlins is hitting over 4. I actually didn't see what he did yesterday, but I know he got 2 more hits. He raised the batting average to 403. We haven't seen a guy hitting over 400 this late in the season in a while. I think Joe Mauer was the last guy to be hitting over 400 in June. What this guy has done has just been remarkable. It's pretty cool to watch. I know I'm interested in it. I don't know how many fans here are, but are you paying attention to it?
Of course, I love it. I mean, I'm old school still in the way that I like to evaluate stats and things. I know everyone says average means nothing now, but I really don't believe that. I think it means something. And if a guy's able to get on base, that's important. And so for him to bring back batting average that everyone's staring at right now, I'm loving every second of it because it's so impressive. And you can't take that away because there's no one who's able to do that right now. There's been nobody who's been able to do that for a while. Right. And Tito, the first thing he said when we were talking early in the year about not having to see him in Minnesota anymore, Tito was like, phew, that's a relief. Because every time we talked about him in the past, Tito's like, man, that guy, I'm telling you, he's going to win a batting title. He's going to be one of the best hitters that we see. Like, Tito could not stop raving about him. So the exhale that he had, when he's no longer, not even just in the division and like in the AL Central, he's in a different league now. Tito loves him. I understand why. And it's been so fun to watch his numbers just continued to climb somehow. I don't know how he's doing it.
Yeah. And the Marlins actually having a heck of a season. They're in second place.
He has 87 hits in 58 games.
I mean, that's crazy.
It's stupid.
Yeah. I mean, he's just been absolutely remarkable. Anyway, Mandy, we're told you're going to Greece. Have fun. How long are you going to Greece for?
Hey, thanks. Yeah, we're going to be there for a little over a week. So like 8 days, an extra day. So we'll be there all next week, and we'll have a good time. My husband's whole family's Greek. They're from there. Nice. So it'll be nice to be with people who actually speak the language, and I don't just have to look like I'll be the dumb tourist, but I at least will be with people who fit in a little bit better than I do.
Have a great time. We appreciate you taking the time to join us today.
Thanks, guys.
All right, there's Mandy Bell. Does a great job covering the Guardians for MLB.com. You know, before we get to the NBA real quick, Jose Ramirez, quiet. Like, we haven't really talked about it much. He's kind of having a bad season.
It's down. Yeah.
It's not bad. It's down. Jason nailed it.
I
it's bad for him.
I said, "Are you?" I keep asking. I say, "Y'all worried?"
He got off to such an unbelievable start last year.
Yeah.
We were talking MVP, RBI records, everything else. It certainly hasn't been
he's
bad.
on pace for like 70 RBIs.
Yeah.
I mean, I know the team around him is not – it's not all on him.
No, I think that's part of it is there's just not a lot of dudes on base around him. There's no protection behind him.
But there wasn't that much,
but I think he's put more pressure on himself because everybody else is struggling, so he's feeling it a little bit more as the leader of the team.
But he'll get hot eventually. But
I would think so.
To this point, for him, it's a bad season.
Yeah.
So there you go. All right, NBA Finals last night, guys. Denver Nuggets pull away in the third quarter. They were up by, I think, 19. And he made a little run at the end of the third quarter. I think get down 14. They eventually got it to 10, but they were never really in that game. And I thought what stood out to me, I thought the Nuggets, like we talked about this. I can't remember if we talked about it Tuesday or yesterday. Were you here when I brought up what Scalabrine had said about? Yes. I was watching this. Like it felt like Denver had been. They were like, we have to play them hard till that shot clock hits 0, because their defense last night was fantastic. I thought they were great. What a performance, and 2 triple-doubles.
Yeah.
2 30-point triple-doubles.
Now, I don't like that they kept Jamal Murray at the end of the game. It would seem like just to get that triple-double, to get that last rebound, but whatever. I mean,
you're on the road in the finals. Like, play your guys. You can't worry about injuries at
They
this
were
point.
magnificent, those 2 guys. And that kid, what's his name? Well, I'd never even, honestly,
Christian
never even
Braun,
heard of him before.
First-round pick.
I never heard of the guy. He was great in that stretch of time they played him.
Him and Ochai Agbaji, the Cavs draft pick that they ended up trading to Utah, were the 2 best players on Kansas' national championship team.
He was an animal out there. What a performance, Jason.
Yeah, I didn't get to see – I was at the Guardian, so I didn't get to see a lot of the Denver-Miami game, but I'm not terribly surprised. I was shocked Miami won game 2, actually, like probably a lot of other people were. I thought Denver in 5 when this started. Maybe it goes 6 now.
Yeah.
Since Miami stole one early. Denver is clearly the better team. That's to take nothing away from Miami and what they've accomplished in this playoff run. It's been really impressive. But Jamal Murray and Jokic is a pretty lethal combination.
I mean, you look at these 2 benches, like, just, my dad was like, Garrett, this is crazy. We got Jetty.
Jason's favorite player.
I said, you gonna put it like that? I said, yeah, that's kind of harsh. I mean, but everybody, they come at you in waves, bro. Like, they got waves of guys with length that can shoot, that can defend, athletic. And it's just, and the pick that really gets me is shout out to the Nuggets for this. How many teams passed on Porter Jr. because of his back injury?
13. He was the 14th pick.
13 people passed on him.
Player.
And that guy was the number 1 rated player coming out of high school. He was projected to be the first overall pick for years. And you look at what that does to them. It was a savvy pickup to get a guy like Aaron Gordon, who had played basically in Orlando for nothing for 5, 6, 7 years. Yeah. They get him, who he comes in, and he's like the 4th or 5th best player on the team. Yeah. He comes in, he gives you energy, athletic, but then you wave and you mix in Porter Jr. How tall is he? 6'9"?
Porter Jr.?
Yeah.
He's damn near a 7-footer. He had 2 points yesterday, by the way.
Caldwell-Pope.
He's a
they're
shooter.
getting 17. I just looked. They got 17 minutes out of Jeff Green. Jeff Green looked like he was cooked 5 years ago, and he's giving you 17 minutes in the
both
finals.
of these teams are very unselfish. I think both teams are fun to watch. They're easy to root for, both of these teams.
Yeah.
They're very unselfish.
They have
Jokic is the best player in the NBA. End the conversation to me right now.
I think so.
Yeah. Right? I mean,
he should have won. He should have won this 3rd MVP. I think this has proven it.
Yeah. I mean, he has these monster games, and it doesn't even look like he's doing anything out there.
That's the most amazing thing.
It's so weird.
When they were here this year, I was at the game, and I don't remember what his line was, but I remember looking down at the end of the game, and it's like you don't even notice him half the time.
Yeah.
And you look down, and it was like 36, 18, and 14.
Jason, we talked about it because I was at that game, and we chatted the game. He had a 24, 17, 15, and we were like, oh, he played like crap. And his stat line was 24, 17, 15.
Yeah. It was the first 30, 20, 10 game in the history of the NBA Finals,
and what's crazy, I tweeted this last night. He put up a historic stat line, as you mentioned. First ever 30, 20, 10 game in NBA Finals history. Yeah. It'll be the 3rd thing people remember about that game. It'll be the Christian Braun game, coming off the bench and scoring, I think, 17 points. And then it'll be Jamal Murray, who put up a 30, 10, and 10 triple-double as well.
And why is Christian Braun's last name spelled B-R-A-U-N?
That's a whole separate issue.
Braun.
It dawned on me who Jokic is. He's a bigger Larry Bird.
Oh, he's better than Bird. He's better than Bird.
I'm just saying. He's
better than Bird?
Yeah.
He's the top 10 guy ever.
Bird's the top 10 player in the history of the game.
You don't think Jokic is good?
That's why I called him.
Doesn't he have to do it longer?
He's Big Bird.
I think he's
Well, Larry Bird's a top. So you're saying Jokic is already a top 10 player in the history of basketball?
I think he will go down as a top 10 player in the history of basketball.
I think probably right. You're probably right.
Big Bird, dog, like he get more rebounds. He's bigger. He's a center.
I mean, the game's a little different, but
a little different. But he's.
I mean, how many more points would Larry Bird have scored if he played at this era?
I mean, if his back would have held up and he could have got another 4 or 5 years.
Yeah,
Big Bird.
No, but even if he had just played in this era where everybody shoots a million threes,
Right.
like
he's
as
probably,
good a shooter as anybody
absolutely. Ever. That's why we say about Mark Price, he was a player ahead of his time.
Yeah,
Bird
but still, just the fact that we're having a discussion, and I mean, they're similar. I don't know. I think Bird seemed to play. You notice Larry Bird on the court.
Oh, of course.
More than you know. Like Jokic is just like he has 20 rebounds.
Oh,
you 20 rebounds.
Here's how
because
you
he makes
notice
it look
Jokic,
effortless.
but you don't
The dude
even
doesn't
you
break
don't
his
even
sweat.
think about it.
Yeah.
You notice Jokic because it's a center, a huge center.
Yeah. Who does
dribbling
everything.
the ball up the court.
He does everything.
Like like as a point guard. Like I have even at the Y. If you're the biggest person at the Y, there's always some small guy like here,
right.
And you're like, no.
Yeah.
You're not faster than me, or you can't jump higher, and you really can't dribble. You just want the ball because you're smaller than everybody.
Right. That's right.
Like,
is there any weakness to his game? Like how's his defense, Jason?
It's average.
Yeah.
He's average.
Yeah.
I mean, would you call it a weakness?
I wouldn't say you don't want to switch him onto point guards.
Sure,
25 possessions.
Yeah.
You know,
and didn't the Blazers trade him?
No, did they?
No, he got drafted by the Nuggets.
Are you thinking of Jurkic?
But the Nuggets traded Jokic
I'm thinking of
to the
Jokic
Blazers.
and Nurkic, right?
Yeah.
All right,
They got
cool.
Jokic from the
okay.
Anyway.
We didn't want to. We
Nuggets. So what do we say? I'm saying Nuggets in 6. What do you got?
I said Nuggets in 5. I'll stick with 5.
I said Nuggets in 6 originally.
I thought Miami would steal 4.
Yeah.
Would win 4 at home.
Yeah.
And Denver would close out in 5, but I'll stick with Denver
All
in
right.
5.
G, what do you
Yeah,
got?
they ain't got enough for them. That Nuggets, gentleman sweep,
Gentlemen sweep.
4-1.
All Go
I
ahead,
called
Mikey.
Nuggets in 5, and they made 5 threes last night. They were 5 of 18 from 3 and still won by 15 points.
They only made 5 threes?
They were 5 of 18 from 3,
I
and
didn't
Michael Porter
realize that.
Jr. had 2 points. He was 1 of 7 from the floor and still won by 15. It just shows if Miami gets
I thought their
supernova hot.
defense was just unbelievable.
And Miami has, and this is not, Miami has done an unbelievable job getting here. They have 2 scorers. Like Caleb Martin became this third star against Boston that no one saw coming. He's reverted back to the mean. And outside of Butler and Gabe Vincent, and Bam Adebayo, but
they're
he's
so
hit or
well
miss.
could They played such great team basketball.
They do all the little
By
things
the way,
perfect.
I don't know. Have we ever done a list? I know I've talked about this before. Have we ever done a list? And we'll bring in Suryat here, who's in studio with us.
He played basketball, college basketball player.
Yeah, and I'll ask him about this too, because this is the most important basketball question. Have we done a top 5 most punchable faces in the NBA?
No, but I'm sure Sir Yacht and the Fly can come up with a couple. Then I'll go.
Because
and
Duncan
do
Robinson is one of the most punchable. I want to punch him in the
Hey,
face.
that's my friend. Be
Now,
careful.
he kicked my ass. He's much younger. But he's got a very punchable face. And I'll tell you what, congratulations to the Heat, because both of their white dudes have very punchable face. If I have to see Tyler freaking Hero wear that stupid bucket hat on the bench one more time, I want to punch him in the face just to knock the bucket hat off his head. That guy looks like a friggin' homeless guy on the bench. It's embarrassing.
Basketball players got the biggest bodyguards though. Like they will like literally pound you. Like,
Yeah, well, I'm not going to actually do it, but I'd like.
I'm not G size, but I'm not small.
Yeah.
LeBron's bodyguard picked me up off the ground with one arm.
Yeah, these
Did
guys,
he
these
really?
dudes
Yeah.
is bro.
He's got like one main bodyguard, like the lead
Well,
guy.
he's not with him anymore, but at the time he had.
How
like,
big was this guy?
I mean, not tall, but
massive.
And so it's funny. We were in Washington,
Yeah.
and he just hit some crazy. If you remember the game.
Oh, well, that bank shot.
Like love to get LeBron in the corner, falling up.
Yeah.
And I was trying, and we just happened to be. I was going to the workroom, and he was going to the locker room. We just happened to be on the same path, and I was trying to stop talking to him because he had to go, and LeBron kept talking, and I'm like, you got to go, and he's like, no. We kept talking, and his bodyguard like picked me up with one arm and moved me. So and I told him like, dude, it wasn't me. He goes, I know, but I had to get him. Like
he couldn't pick LeBron up.
No, the only thing I could do was pick you up. So
yeah.
one arm, I was off. I've never in my life.
That is
no
crazy.
one has ever picked me up
Mike,
with one arm.
what's up?
All right, Sir Yacht, get in position. I'm gonna do some ad reads so you guys don't have to
Okay.
see
Hey,
us
before you read an
maneuver in
ad
the
read,
chairs.
to finish my point,
Yeah.
Larry Bird, player efficiency rating for his career, 23.5. Jokic, 27.7.
Man.
Now, that's not the end-all, be-all stat.
Yeah.
But
I don't know basketball analytics like the other sports. I got to learn more.
Larry Bird is the first superstar that people pass. Like when LeBron was good, it's like he already got Larry Bird.
Yeah.
Like he's like the gateway.
Yeah.
All right, let's go to
Mike,
Mike
go
for
ahead.
some ad reads here.
Yeah, Sir Yacht, you get in position. We will talk about some of his since '99 interviews in a second and his college basketball playing days. But on July 12th through the 16th, if you are not at the famous Firestone Country Club, the question is, what are you doing instead? The Colleague Companies Championship is coming to Ohio July 12th through the 16th at the famous Firestone Country Club. Free concerts for kids, free admission for kids, free concerts for everybody. You can learn more at colleaguegolf.com. And we also have membership tiers here on the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. And if you're not already a member, the question is, what are you waiting for? For $1.99 a month, you get loyalty badges, custom emojis, and members-only community posts for $4.99 a month. That's less than $5 per month, less than $60 for the entire year. You get all those same starter tier perks plus overtime videos. Today I'm going to tell you how Jimmy Haslam just got way richer without doing a single thing. The ultimate business savvy. I'll tell you all about that in overtime. Membership shout-outs, discount codes for merch, and much, much more. And with that, Sir Yacht is in studio.
Social media sensation.
In the building.
How many followers do you have?
Millions.
On YouTube, on Instagram. Do you know your exact numbers?
No, too many. People shouldn't be. They should be paying attention to people that are better their lives and not me. But I appreciate it.
It's crazy, man. You do some crazy shit out there. I love it.
But it's dedication. You can't have followers and don't be doing like you be getting on planes. Like who gets on planes and be like, yeah, I'm gonna interview somebody. Everybody's on Zoom.
But
That's the lazy stuff.
I'm gonna keep it real here. The first time we were gonna have Sir Yacht on, right? Like I didn't know who you were at the time, and I remember saying to Mikey, like, who the f is this guy? what the hell are we having him on for? And then he was hilarious when he was on with us. So then I got involved and followed him on Instagram and you're a funny dude, man. You're awesome. So I'm glad we had you on. I'm glad we have you back.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
And I love all the shenanigans or the crap, whatever. It's funny. Half of it's so stupid that it's so funny.
Yeah, I keep myself entertained for sure. But it's it's been fun and it was really good being on that one time. So I appreciate coming back.
Yeah. So you're doing this thing where you're traveling to meet all the Browns. Like, who's setting these interviews up? Do you have somebody doing it? Are you doing it yourself?
No, I'm just reaching out on Instagram, Twitter, like wherever. Like, it took probably 10 months for Tim Couch to respond.
Yeah.
He followed me on Instagram, and then I commented on one of his posts, and then for whatever reason, he checked his Instagram DMs with me, and he's like 10 months later, he's like, hey, sure, I'll do the interview with you. And I was like, okay, I wasn't even thinking about it, but I want to thank him because he jump-started it, and now I kind of just use him as like a template for like, hey, we're not going to grill you, we're just going to have fun,
and it helps
share
with
your
the
side.
credibility to have him.
Yeah.
And like, you just did Trent Dilfer, right? Well, how many have you done so far? 7?
We've done 8. One is going to be released next Friday that we did.
Who's that? Can you say it or you can't say it yet?
I can't say it yet.
I can tell you after.
Okay, you'll tell us off there. So, have you reached out to all of them already or no?
No, I've reached out to probably just all the ones that I've interviewed, and then I reached out to Ken Dorsey. He's the only one that has said no, the offensive coordinator for the Bills. So, but everyone's like, you should try to gaslight him. I was like, no, I'm not going to do that. Like,
is it because he's still working in the NFL, or is it because he's so scarred?
Well, the next person we're interviewing next Friday works in the NFL.
So it's because he's so scarred from Cleveland. Or he's just not a
I don't know,
because
he was here, in 2004? And he was just a rookie, and then he got traded next year. So he probably just thinks like there's nothing to talk about.
Yeah.
And when was it Ken Dorsey that was going crazy for the Dolphins?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, he tore that booth up.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, when he was slamming the papers down. Yeah.
That's right.
I know. I want to talk to him about that.
So which of these interviews so far do you think is the best?
Derek Anderson absolutely went on like not a tirade, but he just like basically said how terrible the Arizona Cardinals are, which I had no idea. Like they said he made him pay for like water and Gatorade and lunches, make him walk the coolers from one end of training camp to another. Like
what?
We got the clip. Let's play the clip. This is from the interview with Derek Anderson.
Yep.
Here we go.
Take it, Steve.
You traded to the Arizona Cardinals, or did the Browns release you and then they picked you up?
They released me. and actually might be one of the most dysfunctional organizations that I was ever a part of.
Second or first? You can just say the Browns are the most.
No,
it's okay.
the Browns never made me pay for water or Gatorade.
What?
Charged me for sweatsuits. Like
what?
Like lock the water coolers at like 4 o'clock.
Did they just not have like employees?
I get charged for lunch. Lunch was like on a buffet line from some guy's truck from the parking lot.
Well, thank God it only lasted for 1 season.
Exactly.
Then. What was that process like for you going to Carolina?
We're good. We're going to sign you, give you the physical. The Cardinals still had not cut me.
Like they didn't get the paperwork in?
They never put the paperwork in. So I called Rod Graves and I'm like, Rod, please fire me.
Oh my God. Maybe they take the cake as the most dysfunctional thing then. Are you traded to?
That is hilarious.
I couldn't believe it. I just, growing up, like obviously knowing about the dysfunction of the Browns, and then someone who played for them was just like, no, it's actually the Arizona Cardinals that were way worse.
Right.
Wow.
You just always assume that the Browns are the most dysfunctional team.
And then what was it like a year before Derek was there? They went to the Super Bowl. I think it was like the year or two before. Like they're with that much dysfunction,
Warner,
and they like actually have had like success. I don't know.
What is it with Phoenix? What is it with Phoenix? Robert Sarver with the Suns was an absolute disaster.
Yeah.
Bidwell with the Cardinals.
Yeah.
The Coyotes owner. There was all kinds of sexual allegations going on. They like something going on in the desert out there.
Wasn't Wayne Gretzky caught up in it with the Coyote stuff too?
Was Wayne? I don't remember that.
Yeah.
Baseball, I don't think there's anything. I don't think.
So of all the ones you have left to do, which is the white whale, if you will? The one
everyone has said my white whale is Johnny Manziel.
There it is.
Which I think so. I mean, I feel like we already know so much about him though. Like I get so much like joy out of like interviewing guys like Derek Anderson, like Kelly Holcomb, who are like completely off the grid,
right?
And like just have like all these like gems like about the Browns that I just kind of never knew. It's been really cool because I've learned a lot about, because when they came back I was like 5 or 6, so I've like learned a lot about what the Browns were like coming up, and you know all these guys are so talented. Tim Couch at the time in 2003 was rated the 6th greatest high school athlete. Behind like
he's
LeBron,
up for the College
Kareem.
Football Hall of Fame.
Yeah,
this
right
year.
now. Yeah, so these guys are so good, and then you plug them into Cleveland, and it's like, what happens?
Yeah. See, Johnny, obviously, we know a lot, but I just feel like you might get the craziest stuff yet out of him.
It'd be fun. I mean.
And Baker, though.
Baker would be cool. I met Baker came back 2-3 months ago after the season with the Rams, and because he didn't get a chance to move everything out.
Right.
So I saw him at a bar, like kind of by where he lived in Westlake, and I told him about the project, and he's like, "Oh, I'll be waiting for the interview." But it was really cool to just like randomly meet him, and he seemed like a nice guy.
The white whale.
It wasn't at the Cheesecake Factory.
No, stop playing. Stop it. Stop it. You always doing it, man.
No comment.
I would say this: the white whale is if you can get like Johnny and Baker and like
Brandon Whedon.
No, I want Whedon. I want old boy from Notre Dame. What's his name?
Oh, Brady Quinn.
Yeah,
Brady
I want to
Quinn,
get them 3 in a 3-panel, and you got to do the interview with like as an open format. It's like a town hall, and you're up there like CNN, Fox, and your town hall just giving them answers. That'd be great.
I like that.
That'd be awesome. Town hall.
Yeah, I mean, if I can continue to do this as much as we can, like it's been cool to already have done like 8 quarterbacks, 7 of them released. Like I'm just kind of hoping that we can do the rest, and we'll see what happens. But it's been great so far. Everyone's been super nice.
And so you're not going to pressure Ken Dorsey. You're not going to gaslight him.
We'll revisit that situation at some point. I feel like if I get more, he'll maybe he'll think like, oh, like he's the guy that like kind of stops it. So
right. And listen, you could maybe it's 8 years from now. Who the hell knows? So you get to it eventually.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the truth. And by that point, there might be 10 more quarterbacks that the Browns have.
Right,
So we'll see, yeah.
Hopefully not. But when you do these eating challenge, like you're like, I'm at the stadium, I'm going to eat a hot dog every time the Browns score, whatever you come up with. Have you gotten yourself super sick from doing this?
Oh, yeah. I destroyed a toilet this morning just from an eating challenge I did yesterday. Absolutely, yeah.
What was yesterday's? I didn't see yesterday's.
It wasn't an eating challenge. It was just eating.
Oh, just from eating?
Yeah,
normally?
I just decided to eat a lot of hot dogs last night. I think I have a problem.
Were you at the Guardians game?
No, I'm throwing the first pitch tonight though at the Guardians.
No, they're
game.
home. What the hell am I talking about?
Sweet.
You're throwing out the first pitch tonight?
Yeah, I'm really nervous.
Don't bounce
Look at that.
You're going to throw from the mound or in front of the mound?
I think so.
Joe, you're like 7 feet tall. You can't not.
Randy Johnson was what, like 6'10"?
Yeah.
Randy Johnson was 6'9". Yeah.
I'm not Randy Johnson, but it's not going to look like that.
There were 4 first pitches last night. We were on like the 4th.
What?
Yeah, there was 4.
Why?
I don't know.
There should just be one.
Different random people were throwing.
I hope there's
out.
not
What
4
happened? They
tonight.
told us you could only do one when we went there last year.
I know.
Well, it was like 4. I don't know if it was 4 different.
Like 4 at the same time?
No, like one went up, and then another went up, and
Yeah.
then another
was
went
Rad
up.
Demeter,
Oh, it's
right?
like was the 4th pitch
Who?
then. That's
So
not the first
Some
pitch.
social media girl. I
Yeah,
don't
Rad
know.
Did you
Demeter.
play? I know you played basketball.
Yeah.
Did you ever play baseball?
I played freshman year up to freshman year in high school, and I was pretty bad, so I just stopped.
Okay. So, like, what's the goal? Just to throw it over the plate?
Just so it looks decent enough to where I don't get memed. I think that's the biggest
Yeah, I mean,
thing.
like, you don't want to end up like Baba Booey from Howard Stern.
No, or 50 Cent.
50 Cent,
Yeah.
the Cincinnati mayor.
If I don't throw it like that, that's fine.
Don't hit a
What's
photographer.
his name?
That's the goal.
great
That's
track
the
guy. Oh, my God.
Yeah, the photographer
Bolt?
that got hit in the balls.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Simone Biles?
No, the great
You do
track guy.
backflip?
Carl Lewis.
Carl Lewis.
No, he sang the anthem. He was awful.
Oh, is that it?
Oh.
Yeah.
Simone Biles did a pretty good first pitch.
Simone
She
Biles
did
did like a backflip.
Yeah,
I feel like
before-
that's next. You
Make-
gotta
Yeah.
sing the
But
anthem.
no, the
no anthem.
No?
Megan Thee Stallion threw a great
the-
first pitch.
the bar is just don't hit a cameraman. Don't hit a photographer. Don't hit a cameraman.
I think if
That's
I,
Well, even Travis Kelce was terrible.
Oh, he was awful.
yeah, he was really bad. Would you think he wouldn't be bad?
Right.
There's something about being up there, I guess. I don't know. We'll see. We'll find out. You've done it before, right?
Not here.
Where'd you do it?
Well,
I
we
mean,
kind
for
of,
minor
but we
league
just
games,
stood up
but-
there.
No, we were up there. We were up
Still?
there as a show, but Jay threw the pitch, not me.
And Jay's a real pitcher, so it doesn't count.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, he doesn't. Yeah,
Yeah.
Did he throw a strike? I assume he threw.
Oh,
a
yeah,
strike.
He threw a nice pitch. Yeah.
I
People
thought it was a little
actually
high.
just- go
I'll be
ahead.
honest.
Little high?
We have the video of it somewhere. I thought it was
Yeah.
a smidge high, but it, for a first pitch, it definitely. was
Better.
a good
My
first
advice
pitch.
was better to, even if you feel like you can't like reach it, better to bounce it, straight ahead like a one hopper than to throw it over the catcher's head.
Yeah, I mean, I think if it like goes toward, like if the catcher like this is my goal, is if the catcher just like can catch it.
Yes.
If it hits the ground, great. But if it lands in the catcher's mitt, that's fine.
Yeah.
Nobody's expecting a strike.
Somebody asked me this. Well, people ask me this all the time, and I'm like, well, I can't really give them an answer because everybody is different. When did you know, like, or when did you first start to know, like, hey, I can make a living doing this, like. And if somebody wants to make a living doing videos and YouTube
Yeah.
and social media, what advice would you
No,
give?
it's a good question because I think when I started, it was right after the Browns went 0-16. I made a rant that got on like SportsCenter Snapchat the next day. So like New Year's Day 2018, I was like, oh, we'll just start making videos, I guess. Like thought it would just be like something fun to do. Maybe I'll turn it into a career. I think the first point I knew that it would be a career is I started making TikToks, and for whatever reason, I was making like promotional videos about towns, and just like comedic, like just going to a town. Like I went to Struthers outside of Youngstown, and found out that they were the only city in the country that didn't have a cemetery. So I was like, I'm in Struthers, Ohio. They don't have a cemetery. They bury the bodies under the city hall, and then like for whatever reason, like it blew up, and then other towns reached out.
Yeah.
And long story short, I started like charging towns for it, and then I was making more money doing that than I was like at my marketing job.
Wow.
So.
Damn.
Yeah, I think just any advice that I would give to people is just if you really love it, just find like your niche. It's something that you're good at, because like there's so many podcasts, there's so many people that make content that if you follow somebody else's lane, you're just gonna be like a watered down version of them. So like find what you're good at and find what's not there, and then
I
keep
do
going.
think you do some of these things. I haven't seen one in a while. Maybe I just haven't seen it, but I can't remember now what it was. But you had like 3 of your buddies, and you did some sort of draft that I found really funny, and now I can't remember what it was exactly.
Yeah,
but I like the way you edit it. You do those quick edits.
Thanks, it's fun.
I like that. It's got a good pace to it.
I appreciate it. Yes, I try to do a bunch of different things and experiment and see what hits and see what doesn't. It's fun. It's a really good time, and I've got to meet a lot of good people like yourself. So it's been a blessing.
Do you edit your own stuff?
I do, and then all my stuff for the most part. Any like big videos we have, I have a videographer, and then my brother will sometimes edit some things too.
Where'd
like
you come up with
podcasts.
the nickname, by the way?
I was my fraternity, my junior year. I was drinking a lot of beers, and I was making music.
Yeah.
And I needed a music name, so I came up with Sir Yacht.
All right, that makes sense.
I like water.
Go ahead, Mikey. What do you got?
I got a 2-part question. I was gonna ask you about Sir Yacht because I actually saw Sir Yacht on Tuesday at a volleyball game. We were playing volleyball, and he walked in, and I know Sir Yacht a little bit outside of here now because he's friends with Austin Love, who works at Channel 3, and I'm friends with Austin Love, so kind of through. Do people call you Sir Yacht on the street, or do they go by your first name?
Yeah, I never hear Joey anymore. It's always Sir Yacht, or Yacht, and there's a lot of people that think that's my real name, and I'm like, no, that's not. That's
You
like,
don't look like a Joey, though.
yeah, that'd be like if people, I guess, thought your name was the Bull.
Right.
Like,
I don't.
That would
think
be odd.
Well, your name is the Bull. No one knows
It is
your
the Bull,
real
though.
name.
It is true.
How'd you come up with Sir Yacht?
Just drinking.
I just told you.
Literally
Just told
asked
us.
that and answered this.
I was texting Mike that I needed
Need
a water.
water.
I don't know what you want. Like, I can't pay
Hydration
attention
is
to
important.
Just pull the Dustin right there.
Hydrate.
But part two of the question, Sir Yacht, when the Big Ten,
Yeah.
What's that?
when realignment happened in college football,
Yeah.
and Big Cat on PMT said Sir Yacht was his one and only source for information on Big Ten realignment. Was that the big break in your career from going from a local kind of content creator celebrity to then having a more national platform?
People kind of people still hate me today for that, and I understand why. This person came to me in my DMs like 3 years ago when the Big Ten was down.
Yeah.
I was like, hey, I have some information for you if you want to. I've been following you for a bit. I'm like, sure, whatever. Nobody's gonna see it. It's fine. He's basically saying the Big Ten was gonna be back and all this stuff. I was like, okay, I'll just tweet it verbatim. And then hang out with friends and stuff like that. My phone's off. I don't have notifications on for Twitter or anything, just because I don't like reading into too much toxicity. Well, long story short, I get a text from a few friends who are pretty cool, Big Cat and Pat McAfee and all these people are talking about you right now. I was like, what are you talking about? I posted a video earlier that day. I was like, oh, did that video do well? No, your Big Ten thing.
Yeah.
And I was like, what are you talking about? And I go back on Twitter and just kind of blowing up. And now I'm like, okay, am I going to be should I keep trusting this guy? I don't know if he's right.
Right.
I have no idea. He told me his lines of communication with people, and I was like, do I trust that he's accurate? Also, I don't want to be a reporter. I have so much respect for the people like Jason and other people that are actual reporters. So I just well, I'll just keep doing it and we'll see what happens. And then it was a nightmare, and I have not reported since.
You talk about the toxicity of social media, which obviously there's a lot of that. Do you get a ton of hate?
I do, but I feel like you guys get more. I feel like you just reporting information, literally not even having an opinion, just information. You get a lot of.
Yeah, I don't care.
Yeah.
Well, people always get mad if you're not a homer. I mean, that's the bottom line. Jason's not a homer. A lot of the media in this town are very homery, if you will. I'm making up that word, but
that's a good word.
And so if you are not a homer, then you're going to get hate. And that's just part of the deal.
As I've said 100 times, I'm dead inside, so it doesn't.
Yeah, he don't care.
I try.
It's good. It's a good way to be.
I try. Listen, I try to be level-headed, but I'm just not as famous as the rest of y'all. So I still get in my bag from time to time. I'm listen.
It's kind of fun to engage though sometimes, and especially if they alley you, it's just it's the easiest thing to just dunk. You just do it,
and then walk away, and then the cool thing is that everybody has an entourage or a little mob that follows.
Oh yeah,
right?
You're right.
And then the mob cleans them all the way up. They're like, how dare you say something about G. Bush?
Yeah. The funny thing is though, sometimes you dwell on the hate when the majority of people probably love you. And it's just the 10% of loudmouths that are assholes out there that they're jealous or they don't like what you're doing. Who gives a shit?
See,
that's fair.
They think it's easier than it is. They think okay, you just got hot because you went viral, right? But here's the thing about going viral. You go viral once and then have nothing to talk about. I don't have anything to say about that. To have to build something around other different platforms and to talk about a bunch of different stuff and have people like you for your just commentary and stuff is extremely difficult.
No doubt.
It's crazy. But a lot of people think that he just sits in his basement and
dribbling a basketball.
So I want to ask you about how do you dribble?
Also, I don't know if you guys. Sorry to interrupt you. I don't know if you guys remember, but when I was on the show last year,
the giant teddy bear.
You guys suggested to me, I have an idea for me. You should dribble a basketball from Cleveland to Columbus.
I remember that.
So I really wanted to do that because I'm a psychopath, and I'm like, I don't really want to walk to Columbus. So I was like, what if I just did it for 24 hours? So you guys were the reasons why.
That's crazy.
That's awesome.
I did it. Yeah.
Why,
full circle.
Why would you do that?
Because it's crazy.
I don't know.
It's funny.
But, I mean, you got to pee, right?
Oh yeah, I took Imodium too, so I didn't have to do the other part. But I spent the first 8-9 hours at Cleveland State, right? And there was a bathroom right next to the auxiliary gym. Shout out Cleveland State for letting me do that. But yeah, I would just go in the bathroom and just dribble.
You're dribbling at the urinal.
At the urinal. Literally
One-handed.
One-handed. And then
which hand?
Which one? What?
Which hand is the ball in?
Oh,
the
right.
basketball.
Which ball? Which ball?
Which balls? So then I would dribble the ball really high, put hand sanitizer on, do it again, and then I would run out.
You probably don't have to. You probably don't have to kick any lines to girls. When you go to clubs.
Well, he's got a girlfriend. Don't you have a girlfriend?
I do, I think.
Yeah. Right. So
No,
is she so you do have a girlfriend. Is she like down for the cause? Does she know you do really crazy shit and it just happens?
So Kelsey and I, we've been dating for a couple months, so she knows. She followed me for a bit, so she gets the drill.
Okay. So she was a fan first.
I think so. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's the way to go.
Did the Imodium work?
The Imodium sort of worked.
Oh man.
Here's the thing. I think it worked, but then for lunch I was so hungry because I was just burning. You just burn so many calories dribbling for so long. I had 40 chicken McNuggets from McDonald's, and I think it was like my body was fighting for its life.
Was that for the Nuggets?
No, I was just for lunch.
But didn't you do a Nuggets every time the Nuggets scored? You were going to eat a McNugget.
Yeah, a lot of people do the me versus Nuggets thing. Yeah. It's really cool. So there are people that can actually do it, and I cannot.
Why haven't we made McNuggets do that?
Yeah, you should.
You've done it about 8 pounds. What, are you going to kill him?
I could down a lot of chicken nuggets.
No, you can't.
No, I wouldn't want to because I would.
I love when skinny people are like, I can eat a lot of it. No,
should we have a nuggets eating contest?
Yeah,
that'd be fun.
Yeah. He has to eat He has to eat nuggets like consistently the whole show for 2 hours.
Yeah, just do it right.
Like every 2 minutes.
He doesn't want to do that.
Well, since the Nuggets in the finals,
chewing?
just do it now.
Not during the summer. Come on, it's
I
cut season.
would totally do that.
Yeah,
I could totally do that.
I buy you the nuggets. I'll sponsor the nuggets, right?
Okay.
So you think he could do 60 nuggets?
No. Oh, that's easy.
60? I could do 60 nuggets.
Nah.
My record is 65.
Yeah, 60.
60 in an hour though.
No, you got to do
in an hour. No,
you got to do
1 a minute.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Like 120 nuggets over a show. 120 minutes, 120 nuggets.
That'd be terrible. Because at some point you get it's like they call it flavor fatigue. Like you're just even if you're hungry again, you're so tired of eating that nugget. And at that point, the nuggets are cold. And like you have like all this grease down your throat. As somebody from experience, obviously, it is not fun.
Have you ever done the melt challenge by any chance?
The what challenge?
The melt challenge.
No.
Or the
I
milk.
don't know
melt.
what that is. Yeah, the restaurant.
The restaurant
I
melt.
thought you were saying milk, but like in a weird way.
Melt.
Okay.
Melt.
Yeah.
There was it was on Man vs. Food.
Yeah.
Nobody knows what he's saying.
Man vs. Food. He did the melt challenge, and I think he lost that one. I can't remember every last detail.
It's just an absurd amount of food.
But it's like anybody's been to Melt. You've been to Melt, I assume.
Yeah.
Their normal sandwiches are pretty
massive.
Even for me, I'm stuffed after one sandwich. This sandwich must have been this big. I think it's like 11 different cheeses, 10 pieces of bread, side of fries, side of something else.
That sounds like a heart attack.
Yeah, they wheel you right into the ER and angioplasty.
It is a triple-decker grilled cheese with all 13 selection of cheeses the restaurant has to offer. It weighs 6.5 pounds, and you have to eat a pound of fries.
And a pound of fries.
How many calories? Do we know how many calories?
Oh my God!
I think
10,000.
It has to be more than it'd be you're dead. Is essentially what they would say.
If you eat that, they should kick you off their health insurance.
You should look and see if Adam Richman was able to do it. I don't think
he pre-existing condition.
Especially those type of foods. After a while, like cheese and bread, like that's.
Yeah.
You know how backed up you gonna be?
Oh my God, no! I don't want to think about
No.
that. I did a rib eating contest once with 3 friends, and I won that, but I was young. I think I ate like 60 ribs.
Holy
shit! Ribs.
At Tony Roma's. Did they have
Did you say 60?
60 something. I don't remember the exact number.
Ribs?
It was me and 3 buddies at a Tony Roma's. Did they have Tony Roma's out here?
Yeah.
We went for all you can eat ribs, and it was like one skinny dude and then 2 guys who were like big like me, and we went for all you can eat ribs. And I think we were trying to see who ate the most, and I ate the most. I think I had 64, 65 in like a 1 hour or maybe we were there 2 hours. I don't know. It's a law. I was like 20.
And you clean the bone off and everything?
Yeah.
Bull was cleaning them both.
Between the 4 of us, I think we must have eaten like almost 200 ribs between the 4 of us.
Holy
I did a wing eating contest in college.
A wing eating?
At PW3 in college at Kent. That's actually how I learned how to eat a wing. Like split it.
Yeah.
Like that was the moment.
If you had to do one contest for $1 million, eating, what food would you choose?
Like any food.
Any food.
Like crawfish? I like crawfish.
Crawfish? See, I was going to say shrimp.
Yeah.
I could eat like 1,000 shrimp cocktails.
Those are long.
I'm with you.
Right?
That's live. Those are live creatures almost.
Well, they're not live. They're dead. What are you talking about?
Like some people eat crawfish. When you get them, they be in these buckets and they be moving around and stuff.
That's true.
Like I love the eating contest when it's like the hot, really hot stuff. I'm not gonna do it. I just like seeing people do it. Because it's physically painting them.
Dude, that Joey Chestnut, man, eating those hot dogs. That's
coming up, too.
That's crazy.
I met him. Did I tell you I met him? Did we talk about that?
When he was here?
In
Or?
Vegas? No. I ran into him in Vegas.
Was he cool or no?
Yeah, he was. So it was during Summer League, and it was me and a bunch of other NBA writers.
Yeah.
And one of the people there had done a story on him before, and he was with like 3 or 4 women.
Yeah.
And he spent more time talking to us than they were mad that he kept talking.
Right.
He was in phenomenal shape. Phenomenal
shape.
Yeah,
the guy is like
he's ripped.
and I told him, I'm not like hitting on you or anything, but you are in unbelievable shape.
Yeah.
He is. He's
bullshit.
ripped.
You should be fat. All right, Mike, go ahead.
All right, so we have Sir Yacht here. This is from one of our viewers. This is 12 things you don't want to hear at Cleveland Browns mandatory minicamp, and we promised we'd read them with Bull here. And Sir Yacht, you're perfect for this.
Okay.
We'll go them 3 at a time. The top 12 things you do not want to hear at Cleveland Browns minicamp. Number 12. Come on, guys, this Haslam fellow seems smart. Maybe we should hear him out. Number 11, barring any unforeseen circumstances, I think we can pencil in this Jets game as a win.
Yeah.
Number 10, and now it's time for more hijinks from Nathan Zagura and The Miz. Next one. Hey, Miles, is this your lipstick or mine?
Ooh.
8, I know it's gross, but a coach once told me that if my whitey tighties weren't brown and orange, I don't matter. Number 7, Barry Who. I thought the Browns GM was Kevin Costner.
Okay.
Number 6, before we go home, here's a public safety video on what to do if you get trapped under the American flag.
Yeah, that's good.
Number 5, I'm pretty sure that guy out there in the parking lot with the squeegee and cardboard "Will QB for food" sign was Cody Kessler.
Oh, damn.
4, I'll show you my chub if you show me yours.
I like
3,
that.
but yeah, this Anthony Schwartz kid's got some moxie. I love moxie. Number 2, Mr. Batonio, your burritos are ready. And number 1, hey, Hugh Jackson's here, baby. Those are the 12 things you do not want to hear at Cleveland Browns mandatory
minicamp. That was a good list. You want to promote anything before we go?
No, I'm just. I guess I'm just throwing a first pitch tonight. So any T's and P's for a successful night would be great.
All right, everybody cheer for him tonight. And when is the latest one coming out that you can't tell us who it is?
Next Friday.
Next Friday. Check it out. Thanks for coming on with us today.
Appreciate
thanks for having
you.
me.
We'll see you at overtime on the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show.